No, I'm live. Cool. Nice. Tight. I'm just getting started because Jeff's still going over on his stream. I'm world class bullshitters, and we're already 15 minutes late, and I don't like being this late. So I'm just starting. I couldn't have started any earlier because it was on the phone with my mom, and she likes to. Well, we haven't talked in a while, so we needed to catch up. Ah, perfect. All right. What's up, Tom? Weird little, very highly unorthodox opening here, just because Jeff's stream's going a little long. It's good to see you again. Talk to you again. Long time no talk, right?
Yeah, like what? Few hours?
A few hours. And I'm glad that you're here now, too, because I don't have my charger with me. So my audio probably sucks right now because my mic's not plugged in. And I'm at 36% battery. So at least you're here, Tom, so my computer dies before Jeff's done streaming. Someone can hold down the fort.
Oh, boy.
So,
you trust me to do that? You're crazy.
Well, like attracts like, right?
You don't sound the greatest, but the video ain't too bad. I mean, could be worse. You sound like you're in a bathroom.
To be expected. The video quality should be, normal, but can't nothing be done about the bathroom. Beth says, Jesse, only 10 minutes late. That's a new record. Technically, I'm 15 minutes late. But, I was going to be later. I was probably going to be at 20 to 30 minutes late. But I didn't want to wait. So here we are. And before we dive into the bill and I will save, most of that for Jeff, too. So how is your day, Tom?
Long. Very long. Yes. I've only gotten a few hours of sleep, and then between all the editing and the roundtable, and I got some more editing to do and the streams and everything, it's just been a very long day.
I'm actually surprised that I'm not Bill and Tedded out yet. We'll see where we get at the end of this stream, so I've recorded the roundtable with you for well over 2 hours. I recorded my review almost immediately after that, and since then I've been on the phone with my parents and explained the plot of Bill and Ted 3 to both my mom and my dad separately because, had to hand the phone off between one and the other. I'm surprised. Again, I'm surprised. But you know what? Each time I do, and that's something I think is very telling about the film, every single time that I do talk about it again and tell more people about it, I get excited about it all over again. I get that feel-good feeling. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to think about. It's fun to be a part of,
Yeah, I mean, I can't actually wait to sit down and watch it in better quality and get to really just enjoy it and relish it and not sit there and analyze it like I have been. It'll be fun. I'm glad the movie was good. Like, I don't know how much we're getting into spoilers right away, but yeah, I thought it was well done, and it sounds like Jeff's done. So,
Jeff just finished?
It looks like it.
Sweet. But what was I going to say? What we're going to do is probably keep the first 45 minutes ish pretty light on the spoilers.
Right.
We won't, talk like the ending or any big giveaways, any big, moments or stuff like that. So pretty much if we knew about it from the trailers, etc., it's fair game. But other than that, we'll keep the spoilers away from you guys in case you are planning on looking at it and don't like spoilers before you see a movie. Madeline, no spoilers yet. Madeline's like, gotta go, can't hear spoilers. Good night. No spoilers yet. No spoilers yet.
Well, and then the other thing is, I know there's been a few clips released that actually give quite a bit away too. That's the other sad part. But yeah,
true. So here's what I'm going to do. Actually, I'm going to create a banner right now. Right, no spoilers. Okay, that's going right now. And add banner. Cool. Did it? Okay. There we go. No spoilers. And then when we switch over to start really getting into our spoilers, we'll let you guys know, and we'll change the banner to warning spoilers. So that's how we'll handle this, so everyone knows, so we don't have to keep saying it 1,000 times over. So I assume everyone else, you will get fair and good warning before we get into spoiler territory. So that is your last and final warning. Let's see. Are we good? We golden? We golden? Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to get started because I was excited to get going on Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Believe me, it's excellent.
It is so excellent.
I'm setting the light up for you right now.
Thank you. You're the best. So we're just going to wander around. Everyone gets to see my our crazy apartment from the neck up because that's where you can't see what's on the floor, and the bodies, and in a natural environment. Whoops. I don't know if I got you in there or not, but I almost did. I was like, shit pancake, whoops. But anyway, yes, Zach Blackfire, I did get your email. I sent you a reply that I'd gotten it. We do have to get Zach Blackfire the I like big assholes and I cannot come shirt.
I'm so sad that you can't. Life is so much better.
Life is better when you can come.
But yeah, we won't get into spoilers, but I mean, my favorite part of the film was when Hans Gruber died. Darth Vader was Luke's father.
What? I like,
and we found out that the Planet of the Apes was Earth the whole time.
Exactly. I think Jeff's favorite part was when Ted left the band to go become an assassin, right?
Yeah, named John Wick.
Yeah, he changed his name to John, and he killed a bunch of people. It's crazy town.
Oh, there we are.
There we are.
We should do all of our streams from here.
Just right here. How's this background?
Your place is actually a bit more roomier than I pictured it from like the little bits I've seen so far.
And actually, it is surprisingly roomy. If you're wondering why there are pillows on our shelves, this is your answer right here.
The cat.
Pancake! Hey, buddy. This was about the time those went up there about the time he garnered the name Shit Pancake, because those pillows are to let him know that he is not allowed to go on the shelves and throw things on the ground. That is not allowed. That is not in his list of permissible activities, as if he actually listens. So, but that's actually exciting news, right? For me, is that Shit Pancake's channel is officially launched this Monday. So, Shit Pancake is going to have his very own channel where he gets to talk about whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. And you should all go watch it. That's all. End of stream. Done. All right. Bill and
when
Ted,
does the Shit Pancake movie come out, though? That's the real question.
That's an important question. We have all these plans. I'll give you guys some stuff. Jeff and I actually, one of the most fun things we do, which is, and sometimes we don't even do it while thinking about it. We'll have these impromptu and sometimes planned Shit Pancake planning sessions. And one of the things we decided is he's going to have little friends that he acts like they're the real people and the real actors. But they're just like little toy figures. So he's like, oh, I got my friend Ray. This is my thing. He's like, oh, I got my friend Thor. My friend Thor's right here. So a little Thor action. We're gonna have a little Thor action figure to hang out with.
Thor.
Not Thor, but could be. And the goal is to one day get it Shit Pancake big enough that he actually meets Chris Hemsworth, so we can do a whole episode where Shit Pancake says, Ray, Thor's coming over. He's coming to visit. And,
should do like one of those short films. Yeah, that'd be funny.
Oh, the
like
whole
Thor and his roommate
saying we got to do it, and Papa, you got to make us some snacks. You got to make us snacks and stuff like that. So Papa, thinking that of course he's just talking about his toy, brings over a plate with like one little cookie on it. Like, here you go, buddy. That's not going to be enough, Papa. It's not going to be enough. And then all of a sudden, the knock on the door. Chris Hemsworth walks in, eats the cookie, smashes the plate. Another. And then he and Shit Pancake sit down. And our whole thing, too, is if we ever get it to the point where Shit Pancake has, like, celebrity guests and stuff, is they're all going to just get Shit Pancake. They're going to make the dolphin noise with him, which is something you'll find out about eventually. They'll,
the next Elmo.
Oh, it'll be so great. But that's, like, every time. So we're envisioning the rest of this is, like, he and Chris Hemsworth are, like, sitting around watching TV or playing video games together and, chatting about the stuff that makes sense to Shit Pancake and only Shit Pancake. So it'll be kind of like Kid Cudi's role in Bill and Ted 3, which we'll get more into in the spoiler section. So some people know I put up a no spoilers ticker down here. When we switch over to spoilers,
you'll be able to see the John Wick twist.
I know. Darn. Whoops. Also, if you're just joining us, make sure you press the like button. We don't know that you care unless you press us. That's how society works today. All right, cool. So, first of all, huge, humongous thank you to Tom. Without him, we would not have seen this movie yet. So humongous. So everyone just, I don't know, whatever exciting emoji you want to put in for Tom, be it a smile, a heart, a flex, whatever emoji you want to drop for Tom to show our appreciation for the fact that we get to have this stream.
I think everyone should just send him $5.
Or that too.
No, that's fine. I'm just glad everybody that I helped out has liked it. And the only person who didn't get to join us today, besides Rob, was Script Doctor, who got to see it as well, but he was working. So I haven't really got to hear what he thought of it yet. But I mean, he gave me kind of a brief. He enjoyed it too. He said so. I didn't get to really hear his whole breakdown of it, but no, I mean, it's. I'm glad that it's something that everybody's enjoyed so far, and it took me by surprise that I got to the free preview to begin with, and then I asked them, I'm like, well, what about the rest of my crew so we can do a review? And they're like, oh, just send us the emails, the critic screenings or whatever, blah blah blah. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay. Nice. So yeah, it wasn't even that big of a deal. Like it was just a lucky happenstance more than anything.
That's and we are the happy beneficiaries of that happenstance.
Yeah, we ended up watching part 1 and 2, and then the very next day we did 3, and so it was just a really fun series of days to watch Bill and Ted hang out, Bill and Ted, get prepared for this shit. You've been pumped since you saw this movie. Like, you know, Jesse gets excited about a lot of stuff, but you haven't been this excited about something in a like. Honestly, this year has been. You know, yeah, COVID affects everybody and everyone's moods and shit, but I haven't seen you this excited about a piece of entertainment all year. Like you were fucking almost brought to tears at times.
Literally did cry at the end of this movie. I want to hit these couple of super chats that have come in so far. If this thing would load, I could find out what the super. I believe there's a super sticker here as well. Oh, I love when my YouTube is like, you have excellent connection. I'm like, that's great. Why is nothing loading?
One's a piece of poop.
Bobby James sent us a poop emoji, most likely in honor of the great shit pancake. Hello. So thank you, Bobby James, for that wonderful super sticker.
Bobby James rules.
Bobby James is so great.
Bobby James, make one of these days. You're gonna get an email from me about helping us with the Party Boob album.
Who did we decide he was really? Oh, he's related to Daniel James now. They're the James clan. We've decided.
Oh, in the chat, yeah.
From last. Diego Flores, great question, and thank you for the super chat. How can we get to see this movie? It's like in 5 minutes. It'll be available pretty much
in the U.S.
If you're in another country, I don't know what the deal is with the release in other countries. Tom, do you know any more about that?
I think it's getting U.S. and Canada tonight, if I'm not mistaken, and then it's supposed to be rolling out in a few other countries over the next couple of weeks. So just keep checking around, like whatever your local. I mean, I don't know if they have iTunes or whatever everywhere there, but your Amazon or iTunes, whatever equivalent you have in your country, just keep an eye on it there. And that, or just keep checking the official website. They may have a version for your country that will probably tell you where it's available. But yeah, like in 4 minutes, it's available everywhere here streaming. So
yes, which will be super cool. I think it's $25
to buy it.
Oh, I don't know if you to rent it. I don't know if it's what it is. Yes. It absolutely worth the ticket to buy.
Oh yeah, I would advocate, if you're a Bill and Ted fan, to have pre-ordered this, you would not have been disappointed. And if you're gonna get something on physical media, like if a Bill and Ted box set comes out, this is such a worthy addition to a box. Like it's better than the second movie, in my opinion. It's so.
I think it's better than the second one too. We'll definitely get a lot into that. Orange Board, are we allowed to talk about this as of about 4.5 hours ago? Yes. And Diego Flores says, VPN to the rescue. Also, Jesse, the voice you do for the cats reminds me of an old folklore legend in Peru of the Chuyachaki. You'll have to tell me more about that, Diego.
I may or may not have hooked my boy Ords up too, but yeah.
Ords board, yes. So then yes is the answer. But please keep spoilers. If you have seen it, if anyone else in the chat has happened to have seen it, please keep spoilers. Or if you've read any leaks, keep spoilers out of the chat until we change the ticker at the bottom to spoilers. But one thing I wanted to get into too before and actually talking to masculinity, I understand that too. It's definitely lacking without him. I will tease you do see him at some point.
And I will say, without going into spoilers yet, he does play a major role in the film. Like they paid major homage to him, and he probably plays a bigger role in this film than he did the first two. I really stopped to think about it.
I agree. I mean, in the first one, he's
physically in it.
In the first one, he's the catalyst for them, and he does very little else, other than sort of, help step in, keep him on track, and catalyze everything. In the second one, he kind of plays the babysitter more than anything else. He's
like not even there. He just disappears through most of the movie until the end. Yeah.
Find it at the end. No, he was watching over them the whole time. He's barely in it. And yeah, this one, even though George Carlin is no longer with us, he is very much alive and well in this film in many senses. So this movie definitely pays homage to Rufus. in a lot of ways, which we'll definitely get into a little bit later on. And before we really even go with the non-spoiler stuff, one thing I really wanted to get into a little bit, because I think it's so funny, is Tom, you love Bogus Journey. And we are not as enamored with it. So I want you to sell us on Bogus Journey, because I do think you make a lot of really great points about it.
I mean, again, I don't expect anybody to love it. That if you don't like it, all right. It's one of those things where Bill and Ted, originally the idea came from these two guys just sitting around, or actually three guys sitting around just goofing around, right? And they happened to be part of this comedy troupe. So they would do these skits once in a while. So Bill, Ted, and I think Bob was the third character for the longest time. They all just kind of hung around, and like part of the deal was it was just like this kind of Monty Python-esque kind of way they looked at life. And the whole idea originally for the original Bill and Ted film was going to be more of a skit movie. It wasn't going to be this straightforward story. It was going to be how Bill and Ted were responsible for everything that went wrong in history, from the sinking of the Titanic to to everything. Like, and I think even in the earlier versions of the script that we got, like they lost Amelia Earhart in the Circuits of Time. So I'm assuming that was one of the leftovers from them totally fucking up history. Like that was the whole thing. Like they're responsible for Amelia Earhart disappearing. Like all these things. Like I think even the crucifixion of Christ, they were responsible. Like all these different things. So it was very Monty Python-esque in a sense. Like it was very tongue in cheek. There wasn't much science fiction behind it so much as just the fantasy humor element of just how these two idiots were responsible for all this stuff. And then it became more about, well, if we cast younger guys instead of obviously Ed and Chris playing them themselves, they have them in high school, they could collect all these, people, and, that's what would their catalyst, they're going to be, they just come up with this joke idea that their rock and roll music was going to bring everything into harmony, including, all forms and walks of life and time and space as we know it and all that kind of stuff. So like their whole thing was, it was just like, okay, it was just like this fun little movie. They never really expected to do a sequel.
No. No. And so, I'm sorry, continue.
No. And then when they got to do the sequel, they were all kind of in different places in their lives. It had been almost 5 years since the first movie because it sat on shelf for so long. And the studio was they were insistent on it. And they wanted basically the same story over again. Only this time it would be about Bill and Ted trying to pass English class. And instead of going into history, they'd go into literature, like literally go into like Huck Finn and Moby Dick and shit like that. Like they actually did, I think, a cartoon episode loosely surround that story. But anyway, so like they're not like, now let's come up with something else. And they're like, oh, first they went through time. What if they go to heaven and hell? What would that be like? So that kind of was like the germ of the idea. And then it became this whole idea of, because they kind of felt like they were killing their characters in a way by making a sequel. So that was kind of the whole metaphor for actually literally killing Bill and Ted, because they didn't know what to do. They're like, what do you do with these characters where you've established they're already going to save the world? Like you kind of pretty much set them on this path. It's kind of impossible to pick up after that. And it just became bigger and more gonzo and crazier. And that whole Monty Python-esque idea of, like, if you look at it, like they say flat out, like heaven and hell, that's like Monty Python's version of heaven and hell. Yeah. Like that's the pure inspiration for it. Like if you've seen Heaven and Hell in a Monty Python movie, it would look just like this. Like, and it's like, yeah, hell's bad, but it's not really that bad. It's like,
And there were things I appreciate. Even, I did appreciate certain things. I think my biggest complaint with Bogus Journey is that it didn't feel like one journey the way that Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was. I mean, you had the same setup where there's an end goal that you have to get to and whatnot. There was something nice about how everything in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was sort of focused towards, getting this together, and it didn't stray too far from that goal. The hijinks were all sort of surrounding them trying to get to that goal. And so it lost for me a little bit of that the story. I mean, I lost the thread of the story because it felt like, what the hell are we doing in hell playing Battleship with death? We got a fucking, concert to play. Let's go. And so there were certain, I think because of the pacing of Bogus Journey, there were moments that really felt like it took it very far away from the plot or slowed way down. It took a lot of time to develop a piece, because that's one of the things about Bill and Ted that is actually fun is as the events are unfolding, they always leave in the back of your mind, all right, we got to get to this place. We're under a time crunch. There is a sense of urgency. And so even though you had that setup in Bogus Journey, I felt like a lot of the film lost that urgency. And I do honestly think that having it be their future selves that come back, like, oh, we'll just do a Crash Course Guitar Playing, come back 16 months later, was whatchamacallit, was
cheap.
Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, it was a little cheap. It was cheating. It was a little bit of a cop out. So I kind of like that they sort of in this movie, without whatchamacallit.
Well, most of the complaints that you have are actually pretty legitimate because all the stuff that you're complaining about is stuff that got changed. Not once, but twice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And look, I agree that it's a lot better than what from what we understand it could have been. It definitely, the changes they made in the process of drafting a sequel, I think are good ones.
Well, actually, no. I mean, they actually, the studio came in and made them change the ending. That's where that station story came from.
Oh yeah. You tell that
yeah,
story.
because actually, the original ending was way different. And it changed 3 times. And at one point, before they even started filming, they made them delete a whole bunch of stuff that was in the last act. And at one point, they deleted everything except for the word station that was left hanging there. So like they thought that was funny between themselves. And like, so a big fuck you to the studio. They wrote these characters called Station. And it was funny to nobody but Chris and Ed. Right. So like that was the whole impetus behind that. But like before that, there was this whole deal where, and some of this stuff remained up until the final cut. They actually recut it again and reshot the ending. There was a point where, because when they're in hell, they meet all their fears and they're like, there's only one way out of this. We got to play the Reaper, dude. Like, that's not true. The only way out of there was for them to face their fears. Because their fears come back to haunt them, like when they're on Earth. Like just before they get to the Battle of the Bands, they run into Colonel Oates is this big, like buff fucking Colonel Oates with a bazooka. The Easter Bunny's this big ass 6-foot Easter Bunny with like claws and shit. And Granny S. Preston's all gnarly and crap like that. And they got to face their fears. And like they give this whole other speech at the end of the other version, and it's all about not being programmed, and that has to do with the robots. So like all the stuff that was set up in the first 2/3 of the movie was lost in the rewrites throughout, and they managed to kind of keep as much as they could in there, but like again, a lot of that stuff was just because they couldn't. Robert Lyle says omitted. That's what Ted Keanu Reeves used to joke that he said we might as well call it Bill and Ted's Omitted Journey. Because every day we'd come to work and there was like nothing but 20 pages with omitted.
That sounds miserable. That does definitely change my opinion. That story about Station definitely changes my opinion on Station, who was my least favorite part of Bogus Journey. And I understand where that's coming from. All in all, though, I think it's a fine sequel. It's
not only that, they die again. Denomalos actually gets killed. He doesn't live. Like they changed a whole bunch of shit because they end up going to hell again because the robots kill him again at the Battle of the Bands. And Death has to go back and get him. It's like, so all this shit was cut out from the just before, and then everything was changed. And they've not been able to ever find the deleted scenes because they've been lost because the studio went bankrupt and shit.
Was it because of all those failed RoboCop movies?
One of the big reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one of the big reasons. Because Bill and Ted actually made him some money.
Yeah. Orion Picture was always a joke to me as a kid because he would there are certain logos, like there's one called like Trans World Pictures or New World Pictures and something else. And every time I would see those movies, like I'd watch a movie and that was at the beginning, I was like, this is going to be a shitty movie. And I never get Orion. The only movie that I liked as a kid from Orion Pictures was Bill and Ted.
I feel like they've seen some things from Orion that I do like.
I love the first RoboCop, and the second one has its moments.
Well, when I was a little kid, though, I wasn't into RoboCop. I saw it on TV, which was good. But RoboCop,
And I think Orion distributed the first Blood, or the first Rambo movie or whatever, First Blood too, if I'm not mistaken. Like that was, I think, one of their first big movies, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
It was nice to see the logo come back though for this movie.
That's because MGM owns it now.
Yeah.
How fun was it, guys, for this? Talking about this, this roundtable earlier and all the time. How fun is it to be part of something right now, to be talking about something, to be involved in something that is fun, that's delightful, that makes us...
That's right. Chris Corkman in the chat, he worked on Bogus Journey's reshoots.
Oh, nice. But I mean, how great is it to be talking about this movie and actually have something we're excited about, something we're happy to talk about, as opposed to, tearing it apart. Someone was asking in the chat, they just got here, verdict, woke or not woke. Right off the bat, I mean, we can go around and give our opinion. I think we're all in agreement this is not a woke film.
You'd really be after reaching. Like, seriously.
If you sit down and watch this film, through the lens of wokeness, looking for wokeness, you still
would have a very hard time. Yeah,
you're gonna have to invent wokeness, basically, and I've already heard so many people say, oh well, I'm already out on this film because they gender swapped the daughters and da. First off, and I did go back and confirm this, if you want to get technical, they didn't. If you want to get technical, the only thing we know about these babies when they show up is that it's Little Bill and Little Ted. That's it. Here's Little Bill, here's Little Ted. They dump them off on the moms and play the show, and that's it. So for all we know, we've just been misgendering them for fucking 30 years. So
and to be real, they admitted they thought they were going to be boys too, just because that's just the mindset they were in at the time. But they were played by little girls, which was odd. But they never really thought twice about it. But then I really wish I should have looked again to see who said this, because I said this also in our roundtable. There was somebody who said this in a comment on one of our videos recently. He said, Little Bill and Little Ted, it makes sense even if they had daughters that they would call their kids Little Bill and Little Ted, even though they're girls. So the joke is there. I mean, it makes sense in the movie without getting into any spoilers, because once we get into spoilers, if you guys are still stuck around, you'll understand what we mean when we say it's not woke. It's very understandable on the surface, just knowing the base storyline, just seeing the trailers and what they've presented to us so far. It's very easy to believe that. Yeah. And I think you said it earlier, Jeff, on your stream, if you were going to give this any number on the woke scale, I think I said the same thing, a 2 out of 10 at the most, and that's more of just because of 1 or 2 scenes, and that's it.
I'd say even one sentence.
Yeah,
that one sentence.
That's not woke.
No, I don't. But I'm trying to say, if you're trying
that is the moment that everyone's going to latch on.
I could say 2 sentences, and really only one could you really be going yeah. And we had a big discussion about that, and I'm sure we'll get into that too.
Which is why I'm bringing this up now, because it's a good time to go rescue him. Andrew Cole says this is blackmail money to get Pancake on screen. Well lucky
now what's he getting into?
His ass is on the counter, the stove trying to flip pots and pans off, and now he's moved on to the counter where he'll probably be going to do dishes next. But ask and ye shall receive, Andrew Cole. I feel sufficiently blackmailed. We're gonna get the little you. That's his only insult. They call me just a you, or we call him a you. You're just a you. You're just being a little you. So here's Pancake. Guarantees for how long he stays on screen. I mean, you can see him right above the screen too. No, it's weird that you're looking at a picture of yourself in goggles.
He likes to look at himself in the mirror.
He does.
He's the most narcissistic cat on the internet.
He does. The other day he meowed at me and he looked at me like he wanted me to follow him. I followed him into the hallway and he just looked in the mirror and looked at me. I'm like, are you asking me who this cat in the mirror is? It's you, buddy. And Christopher Richa says, glad to see a film come out to change the pace and just be entertaining. God damn, it really is. You're not wrong, Christopher Richa, and that's really what this is. It's very entertaining. It has a message, of course. It has a positive message, the same as all Bill and Ted movies do. But none of the story is dictated by the zeitgeist. None of the story is dictated by the current political climate, by current events, pop culture, any of that stuff. And I'm so grateful for that because I'm so sick of everything we have. 10 years from now, you're going to go back and watch the films that were made in the past 5 years, and 90% of them aren't going to be relevant anymore. Bill and Ted 3 will continue to be relevant.
I just watched Han yell, "Get off my lawn!" Orlando
bitched out like he does.
Here goes shit picking.
I'm coming on your lawn.
Yeah. Shit Dick says the girl who played Ted's daughter insists on people using their pronouns they them, which I did in my review if anybody picked up on that.
Well,
But
they're not in the movie.
she is fucking spot on. She puts Samara Weaving to shame in the part. Like Samara's good, but fucking the Lundy Payne or whatever her first name is, I can't remember her first name. Brigitte Lundy Payne, like she is spot. Like if I didn't know she wasn't related to Keanu Reeves, I would have thought she was related to Keanu Reeves.
On the phone, I was like, you'd believe it was his daughter. You'd 100% believe it. They really look kind of similar. I mean, they think they picked good people that look believably like their children, but yeah,
they act just like
Lundy Payne is just, it's so spot on. Samara Weaving was fine, no issue with her performance, but next to Brigitte Lundy Payne, she was just so relaxed, so natural, so believable as this dude. And it was just excellent. Adam Wofford, I know one of the episodes from the short-lived TV series, Tom, I think you addressed that when it came up. Hey, Jeff, friend me on Audible so I can send you some books.
That's what I was looking for when I was looking down on Audible, because I don't know how to find people. Because, I'm on Audible, as you can see here.
I think it goes by, I think you have to go in and see, like, it either goes by, you have to open up your wish list or something like that, and then people can find you on there and send you stuff. I think. I've not figured it out completely, but I know other people who have, so it's like I found them on there. So yeah. So Crates, it's under Socrates.
Look it up. It's under Socrates. Oh God. And let me see. I'm trying to. My StreamYard is being a poop.
Oh, you got another super chat coming up here.
I got a bunch of
two or three of them. Yeah,
somewhere, but freaking.
Yeah, I can help you.
I can see them. I'm just trying to scroll up so I can highlight them because I got them open in my other viewfinder.
Oh, it's not scrolling on the inside there. What you got to do is scroll up and down with your mouse. Sometimes
it's scrolling, but it's just what's happening. It's scrolling, but then it's it goes blank as I'm scrolling, so I can't actually see. You can scroll through and you're like, oh, there's the super chat. I got to scroll and then wait for it to load and scroll and wait for it to load so I can see if I passed the super chat.
Are you using Google Chrome or are you using Windows?
I'm on Chrome.
It should be working. That's weird.
It should be. I've been having this issue on and off. We've also been having a little wonky internet issues. Earlier, we switched Jeff's over from the regular to the 5G.
When we were on yours, that's why we dropped.
It just dropped and it wouldn't reconnect. Here we are. Anthony Shirley says, I actually hung out with 2 girls like that. Sounds like a great effing time. If those girls were real and went to high school with me, I'd probably be their friend.
I think that's the point too, like you and Mecca were definitely making, is these girls feel real. They don't feel like they're pandering in any way. They don't feel like they were forced in any way. No. They are just like their dads, except for they have this vast wealth knowledge of music, which is totally understandable. They grew up around their dads who for a short period of time were huge rock stars. Exactly. So it's understandable that they would have this, deep knowledge and love of music, and that's all they do all day. And that's the thing. It's not like they're better than their dads.
No.
And at no point do they have this thing where like anybody's saying, oh, you could have done this if you were such a girl or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Not even brought up in the movie at all.
There's no ever any indication. Really, their gender doesn't matter. The only reason why it matters that they're women is that if you had cast dudes, it would have felt like they were trying too hard to be carbon copies. I really think that's it. That's the only thing. If you remade the same movie with them as sons instead of daughters, it doesn't actually change anything about the way the film operates.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, and I just think they're avoiding that Dumb and Dumberer trap. That's it.
Well, I would say Dumb and Dumber 2, where
I said Dumberer.
No, there's 3 Dumb and Dumber films.
Yeah, but I brought up Dumb and Dumber on the other review because
I was bringing up Dumb and Dumber 2 though because you had Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels come back, and then they don't even feel like the same characters. I gotta give Winners and fucking Keanu Reeves credit because they are a natural. If you like the characters, they don't change. It's not like Indiana Jones and Han Solo where they're not the same dudes.
It feels so disappointing as you're coming in, you're like, who is this? No, that's one of the most beautiful things. If for a split second, the first time Keanu Reeves opens his mouth, I'm like, oh, he sounds much older because he is. But beyond, as soon as it gets going, you don't see like, oh, it's old Keanu Reeves and old Alex Winter trying to be these guys again. It's Bill and Ted. We're right back at it's Bill and Ted. They've whatever that is, that magic is still there for them, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I think Ed was spot on, at least in my opinion, after seeing the film. I agree with him when he said, like, if it didn't work as boys because they were just redundant, or if you made them super cool or super smart, they just lost the humor. And again, wasn't that the problem that everybody had or were worried about with the girls? I kept bringing up is like, so what you're going to do? Like, I mean, it just makes sense. Like, and in the movie, they're not even musicians. So it's not like they're there to replace their dads or anything like that. So.
And I love that. I love that they weren't there and they also weren't just there to replace their moms either in the band. I love that they weren't actually musicians. They didn't go the route of, oh, we're all gonna be a band together. And they kind of, and then it worked, you know, as we went into the spoilers, I think the way they utilized them in tandem with the music works really, really well too.
And they're not like a Rey. They're like a Luke Skywalker. Now everyone calls Rey and Mary Sue, and then they try to go up and say Luke is too.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Skywalker only knew how to fly in that first movie.
Mm-hmm.
These girls know a shitload of music. They don't really play.
They don't play at all. And
so they don't contribute any kind of like Bill and Ted. Are we talking spoilers now?
No.
Okay. I would say Bill and Ted, when you watch the trailer, you see them play in the trailer. That's not a spoiler. They're playing. They're fucking.
They're musicians.
Too. Remember the joke in the first one?
They couldn't play. Yeah. Well, that was even the joke in the second one too. Was they still never learned how to play?
They learned how to play.
They're musicians. They play multiple instruments. They become very, very talented technical musicians, which is a nice element too. And that's one of the things I say about this movie. It's such a great, you know, sequel because it does what sequels struggle so hard to do, which is find that balance. And I said that in my review earlier too. I think I used the example in my review earlier. You have the trap of sequels, which is either just remaking what came before it, like The Force Awakens did, or you have something, you use things that, you know, want to be so different that they just don't even feel, there's no semblance of the original left in them, like Star Trek Discovery. This one gets it. This one figured out, how do we move the story along? And a big part of that was that Bill and Ted are not in the same place where we left them. They've grown up in age, but also in different ways. They've matured in different ways. The things that make them Bill and Ted haven't gone away. They don't like grow up out of that part of it, but they've learned new things since we saw them last. They've had new experiences since we've seen them last. They have new perspective on the world since we last saw them. But the movie was not afraid at all to draw from the previous two. It wasn't afraid to reference them. It wasn't afraid to borrow the ideas that worked from them. And that was nice. Chris Corker says Ted was mopier. Yeah, and that was, you know, but that was, I think, again, a more logical transition. But
I think it was a character choice.
But even if you go back to the first one, Ted's the one who's more ready to throw in the towel, and it's always Bill who's like, no, we have a destiny. We've got to do this. So it's consistent even with what we've gotten from him before, just at a different part of his life. It's been, you know, honed in a different way. So I think that's sort of a good thing, you know, towards it, where yes, changes have happened and they're important, but we don't lose what makes Bill and Ted Bill and Ted.
Right. Without getting into too many spoilers, I mean, I don't want to put anybody off by saying this, but this does in a lot of ways remake, without taking that word in the wrong way, what was the first and second film in so many unique and clever ways, in ways that we would have probably wished The Force Awakens had and Last Jedi had. Like, you know, I don't think anybody would have mind seeing Luke in the Obi-Wan role, you know, and so on. I mean, it's one of those things where I think they got it right, just like with Cobra Kai. They don't ignore the past, and they don't, you know, tear down the past to build up the future. The future looks up to the past, and that's a big thing in this film that I think that a lot of people are overlooking, again, without getting into spoilers, because once we get into spoilers, a lot of it will make sense, which is funny because that's Rufus's saying that came from nowhere in this film, which I generally hate, but it works so well within the context of the film. It's just great. You don't always know, it doesn't always make sense until the end of the story.
Exactly. That's where we're at now. Doc Holliday, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, excellent, dude. That's your mom.
That's your mom, dude.
And Anthony Scioli says, I met them when I was 12 and it was a youth camp. Well,
oh wow.
Follow-up question. I think he means the girls that reminded him of the girls. Well, my follow-up question is, did you have a massive crush on them?
Okay, gotcha. I thought you meant Bill and Ted. I'm like, oh,
no,
cool.
that'd be great.
To jump off real quick of what Doc Holliday said, now I want to watch the first movie really badly.
Yeah, I do love the first.
Remember when I asked your mom out to prom?
Shut up, dude. Bobby James says, "What was your address to send things to again?" Well, I'm supposed to get the PO box today. I know it's from too. Misplaced it. Also, Jeff, let me know when you get around to that trailer.
I look at Bobby James. I have my computer off. It's in the tab. I will watch it. Can't really watch it right this second because it's over there, but I will watch it. I promise.
And Bobby James, I typed my address down just a little ways underneath this. If you ever do miss it or misplace it, it is posted. If you go to the About section on my YouTube page, the main page, you can click over the About tab. It is under there.
And you can always ask me if I'm on a stream because I keep a ticker at the bottom,
probably smart.
So you can just ask and
Also, I did just see him in here. I wanted to highlight his comment just because it's his birthday, and I wanted to say happy birthday. There he is. I just want to say happy birthday to Obi-Wan27883. Awesome member of the fandom and is a huge supporter of all of our channels. You've seen him in everybody's chat forever, sending super chats all the time, modding it like hell for everybody. He's such a great dude, such an integral part of our community that so many people don't even know about. So happy birthday, Obi-Wan. We're excited to be celebrating with you on Saturday, and hooray. Ian Slater says, "Hello all, just came in. What did I miss? Smashing the like button, lol." Well, we're getting towards the end of our spoiler-free segment of our Bill and Ted reviews. We'll probably finish up a few more thoughts on it overall, but outside of that, we're going to jump into spoilers pretty soon. It'll be exciting. We're all excited. The bottom line is, if you are just joining us, you missed everything so far, is that Bill and Ted Face the Music is an excellent follow-up to the previous two, and a movie totally worth seeing.
Hell yes. I rated it an excellent out of 10 on my show.
I'll give it an excellent out of 10 with a PS of party on, dude. And also, if you're just joining us, please press the like button. We have more viewers than likes. I always hate to see that. It just makes me sad on the inside. It means you're just watching, but you hate me. Right? You're not.
I hate staring.
I hate kissing too.
No, there's a love kiss.
Yay. I missed kissing. It's been too many hours.
It really has been. Everyone doesn't need to know, but you were gone for 3 hours. Normally, Jesse's in the area when I stream. Yeah. But she was off.
Mostly on the phone with my mom and dad for she honestly 2 of those hours.
Good.
On the phone with my mom and dad.
I talked to my mom a couple hours a week. Well, through the week, I talked about 20 minutes at a time. But I
haven't actually called home in a little bit, so it was nice
to keep up with the family.
It was very nice.
Kids in the world, you're never too cool for your parents.
Oscar started barking because he heard my mom had the phone near him and he heard my voice.
Oh,
so that's my parents' big old Newfoundland. He's so cute. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say on the spoiler-free side of things before we. I know you were disappointed, Tom, but for me, the single reference to station was the exact amount of station that I wanted in my film.
Well, I'm almost starting to wonder if they're implying that Kid Cudi. Well, shit, I shouldn't have said something.
No, you're good. You're fine.
It's all good. It's an interesting point that'll be fun to discuss when we.
I won't go any further till we get into spoilers,
which will be very, very soon, guys. So if you are tuning in, if you are watching, we are getting ready to go into spoiler zone. So just keep an eye out when that ticker changes. All bets are off. And if you don't want to hear anything, just click away and rewatch the second half of this later, so you can either tell us how right we were.
Pause it here, go watch it now, then come back.
Exactly, which you can do now. Actually, if you were to go watch it now, if you're in the U.S. and you were to go watch it now, we probably will be done by the time you get back. But it's conceivably possible that we'll still be talking about it when you're done. But certainly, you can pause, watch it, catch the end before you go to bed.
It's actually not $25. It's only $20.
Oh, 20. JK.
So I'm just saying, if you're on Google Play Music, I mean, there we go.
And a lot of places have a $3 rebate as well. I got it in 4K UHD for $24.99, and that's cheap. That's fucking cheap, guy. I mean, really, if you stop and think about it, especially compared to fucking Mulan, which is going to cost you $40 when you're all said and done.
Oh my God, that's so stupid. Labby Shepherd Puppy was more than decent. It was excellent. It was absolutely excellent. All right. Anyone have any last spoiler free, or if you want to just give your 2-sentence pitch, if for someone who hasn't, obviously for most people haven't seen it, give your 2-second pitch or 2-sentence pitch.
2 seconds. The two sentences.
Doesn't have to. You don't have to make it,
Well,
but you know,
Bill and Ted 3 is the perfect conclusion to a solid classic trilogy that respects the lore, respects the actors, respects the franchise, everything that people in the fandom menace want out of franchise movies. It checks every box in a good way. Nothing woke, no forced diversity. None of the crap that people hate in movies today is there. It feels like it was made decades ago in a good way.
that was like one run-on sentence and
Have
then
you
two regular
ever-
sentences.
You ever read my writing? No.
Not usually. I just hear you read it out loud.
You usually chuckle, which makes me laugh.
Tom, your 2-ish sentence summary pitch for Bill and Ted 3.
I think Jeff nailed it quite well, but I'll just kind of repeat what I said in my review. I guess it's a love letter to the fans, to George, to daughters to fathers, and vice versa. You couldn't have expected a better third film 30 years later. I think I was most surprised at how impressed Robert Meyer Burnett was by it, because you could tell he's not a fan of the second film at all, and not a huge fan of the first film. But you know, the fact that this film really got you could tell it really got to him. And again, same thing with even Andre. Like, Andre has 2 shits and a fuck to give about Bill and Ted.
Totally charmed by it. But he was totally trying, and Robert and I had the same experience of, you know, he even copped to tearing up at the ending a little bit. You know, I straight up, I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, I'm not crying, you're crying. Literally said that to Jeff. So, it was, yeah, I was caught off guard by that. Mine, I don't have too much to add that you guys didn't already say, but this is the movie we need right now. It is the perfect follow-up. You know, it delivers something new and fresh, while paying it all the utmost respect to the source material. And the only message of inclusion that it has is to reach out a hand to you and say, here, you're part of this. Come on this journey with us. So that's, yeah, there you go.
You could find a lot worse ways to spend $20 in 90 minutes.
Hell yeah. A couple better, but not too many. Not too many. All right, so we are gonna go.
Oh, you did put you have a ticker in there.
Well, $20 in 90 minutes that won't catch you crabs or something else anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I said it like this on my stream. If you like us, if you like the content, and you find you have a similar taste in movies, and as I said multiple times on my stream too, all we got out of this was just to watch the movie. That was it. There's no impetus outside of we enjoyed the hell out of this and we want you guys to have a good time, because this year sucks. This, honestly, you'll be able to turn this movie on and not think about any of the bullshit that goes on in the world. It's so removed from that. Ed Solomon and the other writer aren't trying to be talking about modern day politics and slide in some allegory in Bill and Ted. It's literally a Bill and Ted movie that somebody in the chat said should have been made in the 90s. Yes and no. It feels like it was made in the 90s because of the sensibilities, but the story needed to take place today, because there's no. You already saw them as young kids or kids, as failing adults, and then now they're older adults. There's really nowhere. Literally, there's nowhere else to go in their lifespan in this film.
Exactly. And the amazing thing about this movie too is without caring at all about, again, the zeitgeist, the problems in the world, and all that stuff, its messages are exactly what we need to hear. I mean, down to things like the way Bill and Ted, less the second, the first and third, very much honor history, and stress its importance, and honor how all of time and history, brings us to the future. It's always about that. All the things that have led us to now, all the choices that we make and how they impact us moving forward, and not just ours, but stemming back hundreds and thousands of years. And now that we're in an environment where people are trying to cancel history, how important is it, to remember that we don't come from nowhere. We didn't just wake up and, I started playing the guitar. We play the guitar inspired by the greats that all did it first. We have music because you have people who dedicated their lives to creating it and honing it over thousands of years. And that's one of the really fun things. Here, I'll just drop this down because I'm just dropping a minor spoiler. So we are going to spoiler territory right now. All bets are off. Click away if you don't want to hear more.
Before you would click away, folks, the stuff we're going to talk about is all in the trailer. So if you've watched the trailers, you know what we're talking about. All we're going to do is put it in context. The shit, like, I don't really think there's a reason for people to click away, because you can't really take away from the experience. Like, this is not.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, because, like, you're right. Like, you pretty much see most of the movie in the trailer. It's just you're missing all the context.
Can confirm 0 Karens.
Zilch Karens in the movie.
And the closest thing to a Karen in the movie would probably be Kelly's mom.
Holland Thomas's character,
yeah.
And she's really not.
And wrong.
And the thing is, she's the one who's wrong. She is the, quote, villain, as it were. And she is, and she acknowledges that at the end of the film, that she was wrong. She was in error. And it's, it's funny because it's like, again, without this being at all intentional and whatnot, you see a moment of, you can think about how that, relates to today. Her character doesn't, she's not trying to do bad things. She just sort of drank the Kool-Aid. She just, went along with this terrible idea that, I guess we're in spoiler territory now, so I can say it. Mm-hmm. She went along with this terrible idea that, some people think, some part of the culture of us believe that the prophecy on this day is not about them playing the song; it's about them dying, and which in one way, there's actually both become relevant. Technically, both are necessary.
What?
They have to die because they have to go down to hell and rescue everyone else. So she's not technically wrong. It's just you misunderstood.
But they do tell her though, like that.
They do tell her she's wrong, and she acknowledges that she's wrong. So I do like that. But as people have said, this is not a movie you're going to ruin with spoilers. You pretty much know most of what's going to happen from the trailers. If you don't want the little details.
Well, the other big question I think up front is everybody's going to say is, do the girls write the song? No,
they straight up don't.
It's not even really, and the best part is where at the very end of the film when they say flat out, the song doesn't even fucking matter.
Sure.
It's the fact that everybody played the same thing at the same time together.
Exactly.
And that's what matters most, and that's where Bill and Ted are most proactive. The girls just basically do a remix of everything from Mozart to their dads. Like,
exactly. And that's something that's I think is really when I'm watching is really cool because they're not trying to take their place, but they work so well in this modern sense. When Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was made, this idea of live producing and sampling on stage like that isn't it didn't exist then. It wasn't a thing then the way it is now. And so that it was a great, this is what you would do if you're young into music and you don't play an instrument. Of course, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna sample, you're gonna remix, and all that stuff. And so it was great to have that work well in tandem with everything else that was happening.
Right, and that's where the one line comes in that people are gonna key in on, and that's where Ted goes, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" And I see it. Yeah, Preston, Logan. Yeah, we're not here. You're not here to back us up. We're here to back you up. Like, that line makes no sense because that's the only line I would have changed. It should have been like, no, you guys aren't here to back us up. You are part of the band. That should have been the line right there. Like, because then what they end up doing is the girls don't do anything other than produce the song. Exactly. Like, they're just up front telling everybody what to do because they're not even perfect at first either. Like, that's the other thing is there's not this Mary Sue thing where they get up there and they're just automatically perfect. No, everything's fucking chaos until they finally start to figure it out.
Exactly.
It takes time.
They have to figure things out. So that's a great thing. They make mistakes as well.
And they don't have confidence in themselves. That's the whole point of
that.
That's
the whole thing is they're the most surprised when their dads are like, we're here, back here, which is, I thought they were going to go that route the whole time of, you should be part of the band. I do think that line, I read that line. I do agree people are going to harp on that and go, it's so broken. In the moment still, even though I didn't love it, I read it more as the intention was we're passing the torch as opposed to, it's not about us anymore. We're not the center of attention anymore. It's not, we're passing the torch as opposed to, the wokeness concept of, it's about girl power in this.
Right. But the payoff is there because even though that line's there, the girls, like I said, they don't right off the bat necessarily get everything perfect. They do have a learning curve. And then at the same time, Bill and Ted figure out that they have to get everybody throughout time playing the same song. And so they are very proactive in that part. And then as soon as they get back from doing that, they jump in and play along with the band. And you see all that in the trailer. So it's not like, and they're playing the song just like Bill tells him in the future. Yeah, that's you.
Mm-hmm.
That's, so they did technically write the song.
Exactly. They do write the song and they do play it, and yeah, I think that's all great, all wonderful. I forget the point I was going to make when I was going to the spoiler stuff, but it was something about when they go all the way back and get the cave woman drummer chick and how
she never felt. We joked when we watched there's
one. Well, that was I thought it was a cool way to handle it too. Of like, they're not going to gender swap Mozart or some shit like that. But if you're going to go get a cave person drummer, their gender doesn't effing matter, So yeah, you pull a woman in, it doesn't really matter. That was something about how that was good and something about his history and whatnot. And
I think that's almost like a callback to Station in a way, like. Because I like when Death's like, you assumed that the greatest scientist of all time would be from Earth. I'd be like, you'd assume the greatest drummer of all time would be from now.
Would be from now, exactly. I can read it as that nice little, shout out to that.
The character didn't come off as like I said, there's like no real wokeness to this movie. Like they didn't pick, a female flautist to be in it because of diversity's sake.
That's the only other line that I felt could be conceived as woke, but it's not. And that's when they get up to whatever her name is, because I don't remember it, and they're like, oh, and whatever the name is a she, because obviously I'm assuming that history doesn't know whether or not it's a male or female.
Well, that's why I kept wanting to remember her name and look her up, because
it's like Moon Lee or something like that. I'd have to look it up on IMDb.
Yeah, because there's some instances where because I was curious to go and see, because there are instances where they could be, because you just been that far, along.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there are also other instances where they're either it has been revealed over time that they were, or has been questioned. The question has been brought up, already in history. The question has already been raised as to whether or not
actually gets a credit in the movie. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
I mean, it makes sense.
I get it, but usually, like on this one, it's like a actor appears in stock footage or something. They put it appears in stock footage of the credits. So, wow, that lady is not even in the. I gotta look.
I know. I'm looking for her too.
Go deep. She's a Chinese flautist. Is the what I can tell you now before we
Yeah, I'm trying to remember her damn name.
I'm looking. Don't worry, guys. You just keep talking. I'll find her in a second.
I got it up here too, but I don't see it in IMDb. But it might be in my. I got the press kit, the electronic press kit.
That's something. I just want to adjust real quick. People were talking about it a little bit in the chat when we were referring to canceling history. We were not talking about removal of monuments or statues. We're talking about how actually, legitimately, in Illinois, somebody's proposing to remove history books from the classroom until they can be fixed, because they're
racist is what they're
because
saying.
history is racist. Apparently, history is racist.
That lady is really not on IMDb at all. Like that actress who plays the flute.
Okay.
I went to the flute. I went to the flute.
I believe
the
you.
Bottom. Ed Solomon and what's his name, the other writer of the movie, have credits on here because they play Ugly Demon and Stupid Demon.
Yeah, they're always ugly and stupid. In every movie.
She's not on here.
Ling Lun, Sharon Gate Ling Lun, right there.
Ling Lun. She doesn't have a picture. Sorry.
Ling Lun is the name. So
Ling Lun. Okay.
Ling Lun.
Oh, this is the lady from Old Boy. Shit.
Oh,
he's actually been on a bunch of movies,
but yet does not have a picture.
You don't find her, like looking through pictures and stuff, and then it's like, oh shit.
That's sad.
Is the legendary founder of music in ancient China. So Ling Lun is not even technically real, apparently.
There you go. That answers that question.
So it's a fictional, mythological he, gendered as a he in things, but it's just mythology.
And I guarantee you, when Ed and Chris wrote that, it had nothing to do with the woke thing, because I'm sure that was something that was way back when, and that was part of the joke.
Yeah.
It's a mythological character who happens to be a girl instead of a guy, like everybody thought.
Mm-hmm. Which to me, that's funny, and that's one of the things that we lose sometimes with, not with wokeness, but then with anti-wokeness, is we look for it where it doesn't need to be, or we rebrand things as wokeness that aren't. I mean, there's so many movies you can go back and look at now that we never said woke, we never called it that, but now everyone would go look at if that movie came out today, everyone would go, oh my God, it's so woke, ew. And we're recontextualizing. Intention does matter. That's an important thing. If you're writing in, oh, Ling is a dude because he never even really existed. He's a made-up person, and your whole joke is that, oh my God, Ling actually a chick. Whoa, it's a funny joke. But because people are so sensitive to this stuff now, oh God, it's woke. No, it's like we can't even hear a joke anymore without, and I'm gonna say it's because of the wokeness that's been injected everywhere.
I agree with you 100%, but I think it's the people that produce it. I think there are reactionaries in a lot of these communities, and yeah, there's a case to be made about that stuff. But I think because the people that produce entertainment have been doing it for so long, people aren't just going to randomly be conditioned to something that's invisible.
No, we've been conditioned, and it is not correct conditioning per se, and they do think people take it too far, but the reality is we didn't come up with this on our own. We were conditioned. It's been force fed to us for so long. It's been rammed down our throats in so many unpalatable ways that it's very hard not. I mean, it's like a dog that gets hit by a newspaper enough times freaks out every time they see a newspaper, and so we have been conditioned in that way to have these knee-jerk reactions, and I've had to catch myself at points, going, oh, fuck this woke shit, and digging it back and going, is it really? And that's, again, that isn't our fault. Conditioning is a very powerful
thing. A lot of
thing.
the comics and the big budget stuff, it is. Mm-hmm. But I think when you get to something like this, which, look, Bill and Ted the creators of Bill and Ted know that it's an older audience that's going to watch this.
Yeah.
They want to tell the story of Bill and Ted. They're not really being influenced by a studio who's being influenced by social media and by a bunch of yes men and women who are involved with whatever. Like, this is a piece of art made by the creators in the purest form.
Yeah.
Like, there really isn't like this corporate influence. I think corporate influence might be a better, more acceptable word for wokeness, because corporate influence is influenced by the trends of social media.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what Ed was getting at too in his interview with me, when he flat out said, like, if this was woke or had an agenda, Hollywood would be all over it, but they weren't. They didn't want anything to do with it.
They didn't back it. They didn't get involved in it. And that's, something to remember that I think people forget, because Keanu Reeves is such a huge star now. This is not a mainstream Hollywood picture. Mm-hmm. This is an independently made passion project. And that's an important part. Passion. The passion is there. It comes through. This movie is full of heart. It's full of passion. And it was not made to make money. Keanu Reeves doesn't need money. Alex Winter probably doesn't either, and even if he did,
no, he's got his own production company and does a lot of documentaries and stuff like that. And
even if he did,
and this was a pure choice to come back to acting. He didn't have to. Yeah. I mean, obviously, he doesn't make nearly as much as Keanu Reeves does, but he's not hurting. No, and he made the choice. I mean, he could have probably kept acting for the next 20 years and kept doing bit parts here and there, but he decided to get behind the camera instead. So,
yeah.
Hey, can you read your next super chat? So we wanted to address it real quick.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I didn't want to hang because he specifically asked me to do something.
Gotcha. I had two more.
Sorry.
I'll read them real quick. I think they might be too far back for me to bring up anyway. So I'll just pop over. I had a couple tours come in from Andrew Clark, who says, next Thirsty Thursday, play AI Dungeon. Google it. Did you Google this?
I Googled it.
All right. Is this
it's something
scary?
I had heard about before. We can play. It's not scary at all. At all. So you don't have to be. It's like
I don't mean scary. I mean, like, is it like scary? And is it when they see? Because he said Thirsty Thursday. I'm thinking like something that's going to murder a liver.
It's like a game. No, you kill it on your phone. There's no drinking.
Oh, okay.
It's a game.
So not scary.
No.
And Adam Wofford says, Jeff, check your email.
Adam Wofford, thank you very much, because Adam Wofford sent in, I think, 4 Warhammer books. Kendo forwarded me those links on Audible right now. Those are all books.
Nice.
So if you're interested, you can check one out with me. If not, when I'm working on the SJW cards, which I have been getting into, and the reprint of Stealing So and all that shit, I listen to podcast or music. So I can listen to a book. Adam, thank you very much, dude. I'm going to get to learn how to... a little about Warhammer 40K, and then everyone in the community at Work-Class Bullshitters is going to be able to thank you, because now I know my shit. And then I'll have to pass the love on to the guys, so we can all get on the same page.
Yeah.
You wanna get in on the same page?
I'll try, maybe. We'll see.
You like badass action?
TBD. Yeah, I do.
The cool thing about dating you is it's like, oh my god, I went and saw this badass action flick. Oh, there's a sequel. I really want to see it. My girlfriend, I don't know if she'd like it. I know my girlfriend will. She wants to watch guns and explosions and cars and horse chases.
That's what we were saying to each other earlier today or last night, how you and I, our dynamic is more like Bill and Ted than it is like any proper couple that you'd see out there.
Well, it's about me. I made the wigs.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you saw how it shook down in the thumbnail.
I know. It's like, that's so perfect.
I made very specific choices when crafting that thumbnail.
Don't overlook my butt. Reaping burns lots of calories.
Yeah.
Oh God, Death had some of the best lines in this fucking movie. I love it when he goes to Dennis. Dennis Caleb McCoy is the best new fucking character in this movie.
So to get into again the spoiler material. So basically the stuff that you don't get the full details on. So Kelly, who's Rufus's daughter, wants to come to save Bill and Ted because they have to write the song or else the world ends, etc. But a bunch of the people have now gotten the ear of their supreme ruler that think that the prophecy is about them dying. So she elects to send this killer robot back in time to go kill Bill and Ted instead. And that robot, that character, it starts out no character, starts out just a robot who's here to kill things and whatnot, and then all of a sudden we find out that this is not just a mindless machine. This is actually a dude with a personality, and his name is Dennis Caleb McCoy.
Mistakes were made.
and I loved his design because in the face he looks like death. And the cool thing, what I really liked about the character design was it wasn't CGI. It was a guy in a suit. So it fits the world.
You know who that guy is? It's the guy who plays like Victor Saz in Gotham, and
oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, he's in a bunch of other shit too. I'm trying to think now. Damn it!
I'll look him up real quick.
Cool.
Yeah, he's actually a pretty prominent actor. And this is like one of the first times I've seen him do straight up comedy, and he's got great timing.
Oh my God, he was brilliant.
Hey, speaking of things, we forgot to bring up Dave Grohl in this movie. We never
talked about
it. Well, we haven't even got into half the Bill and Ted stuff because we got so sucked into the daughter.
I know.
Even this morning we spent 3 hours on a round table.
And it never came up.
Dave Grohl's in this fucking movie, guys. In the movie.
The first time I brought it up today was actually telling my mom about it. I can't believe that. That's such a great, to me, like, there's the Kid Cudi cameo, which or minor role, which
I think he might be a station.
Yeah. So let's how we had two wonderful things to bounce in and out of. Since we did reference the station one earlier, yeah, that's so. Kid Cudi shows up not to be a musician, which I loved. Has nothing to do with the musical element. Shows up because he happens to be apparently a very talented quantum physicist who has.
That's hilarious.
All of the ads. So
because he just shows up out of nowhere because time's undoing itself. So historical figures are showing up all over history.
So yeah, they're just popping in and out. You got these time holes, time's folding in. It's going crazy, which is sort of leads to a lot of little fun interludes, which is nice because you really have 3 plots. You have an ABC plot happening. Well, you have 4 plots almost.
The time travel. The people with the future.
Bill and Ted going to the future. The daughter's going to the past.
Mm-hmm. The Kristen Shaw story.
The Kristen Shaw story, and then you have the wives, which is the least visited. Yeah, but you really have 4 different narratives happening at the same time, and so.
But the wives are the catalyst this time, and I'd argue they get to do the most in the film than they ever have. Before.
They definitely do. They have the most agency too, which is cool to say.
Well, if I can break it down too, it's like. Remember how everyone complains from the Red Letter Media crew that the Phantom Menace has too many things at the end of the movie, but nobody really bitches about Return of the Jedi, how it has the subplots. That's how Bill and Ted is. Everything's perfectly balanced. Like you will never once look at your watch and go, when is this over? Because it's a short movie, and you'll never be tired of any character at all. Like anything you're reading online about these daughters or anything. Sorry, it's not trying to, but seriously, go do it.
Exactly.
Like, all 4 stories are so perfectly balanced. You'll never once go, I would want more of this or less of that.
And the thing is, they don't give them equal time. They do it they parse out it appropriately. They give the most time to Bill and Ted. Mm-hmm. They give the second most to the daughters. Third to this, the third plot, the future plot, with the
Kelly and her mom and all that stuff.
And all that, and they give the least amount of time to the wives, who are kind of their journey gets very summed up. You don't really need to see the journey. We hear about it enough, and it's cool. And
they pop in and out throughout the film.
True, they're not just gone. They do pop in and out. So
and they're very good supportive characters. Like I said on my show, if you wish all your favorite heroes got the Bill and Ted treatment. You wish Han Solo, everybody moving forward, if old characters come back, even new characters down the road, you want them to get the Bill and Ted treatment, because from the inception of the characters to the end of this movie, you cover their entire lives, and they're treated so well, and it's so refreshing.
It's very refreshing.
And Brian says too many narratives. It does sound that way.
It doesn't.
But they all converge so well. And like I said, you get to a point where you're like, so much is going on with Bill and Ted. Like the movie just, like it doesn't, like I even said earlier in the review, like they could have probably left 10 more minutes left into this and it probably would have been fine. Now it could have been a detriment, but the movie runs at such a breakneck pace. It never gives you a chance to just stop and breathe for a moment until maybe you get to hell. But still, once you get to death and everything, it's picking right back up again. Like if
you go back to the first movie, it's the same way. You know, the first one is exactly the same way, and that's what I love about it. And it has to be, because again, you introduce that element of urgency right at the beginning that they do in all three of them. Of, you know, you have a time crunch, and this is the shortest time window that they've ever been given, which we talked about earlier too on the roundtable, was so cool because Jeff and I realized as we're watching it too was, oh shit. The time they give you is never enough in the actual context of the universe.
Yeah, and in this time, what's even more unique is that it's in real time, which I love.
That what was cool. So what I love is it's always the joke that's like, oh, we'll live 2 more hours, and they do like 8 hours worth of things in that time. But in this particular instance, we both noticed that too when they announced 73 minutes left. Oh, that's about the runtime left in the film. And so it's just really neat to have that element of like, oh, it's literally going to be that amount of time for us.
Random question for you too, Tom. Do you think a lot of the stuff that we're praising comes from this being an older script that has just been constantly reworked on? And do you think a lot of the complaints that we have about movies and stuff today is because they just rush into them right away because they want to make the money and get in and out?
Well, I mean, we can't ignore the fact that I'm willing to bet that this script was locked about 5 years ago when they signed on Dean Parasot. But he's also something that needs to be brought up. This is a guy who has not done a ton of shit, but what he has done matters. And first and foremost, he did Galaxy Quest. The guy gets the type of humor that he's working with here. He knows how to use characters. I mean, the same type of elements you have there with, you know, the parodic satire meeting reality. Like he knew how to balance that, and maybe even more so than the director for part 2. And maybe that's the problem you had with part 2, Jesse, and understandably so, because that was a first-time director on part 2. Yeah. Like he was very experimental in the sense that, you know, maybe something like you needed somebody like a Dean Parasot to where he could come in and balance that verisimilitude with the goofiness that wasn't there, that it kind of just went off balance for you and Jeff for that matter, and some other people. And I can totally respect that because Dean, he pulls it. Like the director has not gotten enough praise from anybody, I think, at this point for how he managed to pull this movie together in a way that does not feel dated but still feels fresh, does not feel like any of the characters or moments are wasted. I wish I could give it a better rating because it's just not as good as the first 2 films to me, and I know you guys like it better than 2. But overall, I mean, I'd almost compare this to certain scripts like Back to the Future in a sense, to where it's just so well balanced. You got everything set up and paid off. You guys said, nothing ever feels like you're out of whack. Just about the time you start to forget about the girls, you go back to their story and you get a little bit of that, and then you go back to Bill and Ted before it gets too, you know, overwhelming on the other side of things. Like I don't think that can be stressed enough that the director played with these characters so well, and he obviously understood Bill and Ted from the inside out. And I know I get from, again, we keep saying, you know, they had their moment in the sun and they just never really did anything after that. Yeah. They don't really paint them as complete failures. Like Andre pointed out, like they live in pretty nice houses and, you know, they're still doing the music and stuff like that. But obviously the rest of the band has gone away. The girls have gone on to careers.
Yeah. Good jobs, apparently, because they're able to support their family.
And, you know, that's kind of the one point. But again, like their dad says, you know, how do you feel being the only real breadwinners in your family to the wives? Yeah. But then when he's in, you know, the spoilers, when he's in hell, he learns, he's like, obviously, if you're here, then that means you actually write the song that saves the universe. And I was wrong.
Exactly. I love that so much. And I loved, that was to me, you know, one of the things that was probably the only thing that was missing from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is a true catharsis with Ted and his father. You have the moment at the end where the father comes into
Bill, I wasn't talking to you.
And, it was so great. Where he comes to the auditorium and he sees them doing the presentation, and he clearly doesn't send Ted to military school and whatnot. But there's no moment where he has that, the moment of finally bestowing his approval onto Ted, and it happens after all these years. And then, the best joke, of course, is always, as soon thanks, Dad. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Logan. Wasn't talking to you, Bill.
I know.
Right.
And I love how Samara Weaving looks at Alex at that moment. The two characters look at each other just like, yeah, okay, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. Fair enough. I want to hit these two super chats. We'll dive back into things. I just want to bring that up so you can hit that, because Adam Walford says start with Last Church and Hand of Darkness shorts for the Warhammer materials.
Again, Adam, thank you so much for 4 books. I really appreciate that.
You looked up that AI Dungeon thing, right? And you are, because I'm excited. Andrew Clark says watched Jay XE play AI Dungeon, felt like Mad Libs.
It's going to become a thing that we'll do. I'll do it with the guys. We'll do it with other people. It's going to be like.
So this is gonna become a thing.
It's gonna really be fun.
Thank you, Andrew Clark.
I really liked it when you said "Let's rock" because it really made me want to rock. You don't get to just rock; you have to earn the right to rock.
Oh God! Rosetta Allen says, "I love you guys. We love."
Hey,
you.
Rosetta, I love you too.
You're great. I hope you're hanging in there late at night. You got some bad news today and stuff, but love you dearly. You're wonderful, and oh my God,
that's not what I'm laughing at.
I'm laughing. I didn't realize
mom's condescending moms.
I didn't realize
Oh,
it must be a troll or somebody just having a goofy time.
Brian McCann's like, Jeff, you got married? When? No, I didn't get married at all.
No,
not married.
No, but when you are, I don't know when we are, you might be invited. Who knows? What was I? Oh, so fuck! I just had my train of thought and I just lost it. Something about hell and the catharsis and this and the blah. Oh, when they go down, when they're reconciled, that was a moment that I thought was really, really nice too. When the dads come down, that's the only the moment. If you want to nitpick, you want to look and you want to say, oh, the daughters are upstaging the dads. The only moment you could even argue that is when they're coming and trying to reconcile with death, and it's clearly not wrong because they're not going well, because they're both just saying you were wrong, and the daughters step in and say, let us handle this. And to me, it was such a cute moment. It wasn't an upstage at all. It was so reminiscent of like when I've had this experience so many times growing up. My parents would fight about something, and then I'd end up with one parent, just, well, your father and this and that and the other, and if he wasn't so stubborn and this and that and the other and blah, and then go listen to dad, well, your mother, and if she wasn't so this and that and blah, 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 and then I have to be the one to sit down and say, okay, I see your point, but maybe you could have said this a little differently, or you didn't have to snap at this moment, or you didn't have to say it that way, or you could have let the other person finish. It was such a great like kid moment at that time where you got to like step in for the parents.
Right.
Like, Mom and Dad, it's time to stop fighting now.
Well, we also get the impression that he probably hasn't seen them since they're little girls. Mm-hmm. So they use that to their advantage. Like he obviously has known them long enough because just the reaction, oh, little Bill and little Ted, the whole thing. And,
exactly.
And the best, he has, one of the best parts where he tells Bill and Ted, they raised good girls. And, I think that, Rob pointed it out in the video that he's got coming up, like in that moment, like the bad dad trope was broken.
Exactly.
Like you have not just once, but twice they were told, I think, in the movie that they raised good girls. And that's the thing is like they are so devoted to their fathers. They're to a fault. They are so fond of their dads. Like they don't right. Yeah. Like that bit you brought up in the beginning too, like with them loving the song, even though everybody else hated it,
At that, where we opened the film, they're pretty much the only ones left in the world that still love and believe in their dads and their music.
Yeah.
Except for Rufus, but may he rest in peace.
God, I almost wish I could re-experience what I felt while watching this for the first time, because I haven't felt like we watched Sonic and we enjoyed it. We're like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed it, but like with this one, I was just like, whoa, not to rip off. Whoa. When we watched it, we're just like, and let's finally talk about the post-credit sequence that happened. Dude, the fucking post-credit. Are you dead yet?
That was so great because in that moment, right there. So at some point we go into the final future version that I don't think they showed too much.
They go to the moment before they're supposed to go just before they die.
Just before they die, and so they're on their deathbeds in this. We don't even know what I guess some sort of nice home for people who are dying, and we revisit them on their deathbeds in the end credit scene. And I can't remember which one says it first. I think Bill says to Ted. Bill says to Ted, "Are you dead yet?" And I'm sitting there, and right before he says it, I'm like, "Please say no. Are you?" And that's exactly what he said.
The only thing that scene is missing, I swear, I wished I'd have got a hold of Ed sooner. Like if I seen the movie soon enough, I'd been like, "You gotta have just one part where Death's knocking on the window, going, "Come on, guys, I'm going to be late," or whatever.
Oh, we've got our first concert in hell in 20 minutes.
Exactly, something like that. Just anything, just to signify that like it's just that perfect cyclical,
yeah. Yeah. I think that would have been nice too. No, that was great. So I wanted to go back to some of the things we had brought up before because I want to give you guys each time to talk about these things too. So we got Kid Cudi, and that's I thought they used as a great transition to just sort of show more things popping out, more time, pyramids showing up in a city, people from history showing up in the
Egypt just showed up in San Dimas, mother. Queen Elizabeth is looking right at me.
Those moments were great, and those were I think the moments where Kristen Schaal did shine. For all that she to me added.
I did like the bit where she's like, "And you named him after my ex." This is worse than what you did at Christmas.
Their relationship was a lot of fun, and it brought something to the story. And so those transitions out. So we had the moment where Kid Cudi just pops up. I'm thinking as soon as this happens, I'm like, "Oh, come on, Kid Cudi is going to be the musician from the present they bring into the band. Are you kidding me?" And he opens his mouth with all this fucking quantum physics, and that's it. He's just the guy who's So Tom, your theory.
I think he might be a station. Because like you said, he doesn't really play a musical role in the film. He's just there to give them information. They're like trying to figure out what to do at the end to make it all work. And he just is like, he gives them this big long spiel. And he's like, obviously the phone booth is a tube to, inner dimensions. Go, it's like, and I loved the bit that they used the infinity button, something that's been there from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And it actually paid off here. Like it was great that's what I said. Like that was the best part, was how that the parents played a big role in the ending. The kids aren't taking over. They didn't take over the band. They were just kind of conducting everybody. And then Bill and Ted and their wives play too, so it's all,
everyone's a part of it. It's wonder. It's
but we didn't really get to talk about Bill and Ted's story because like it all kind of kicks off with I love the whole the whole entire thing starts off, and they're going to marriage counseling, and of course they show up on the same day because they obviously Bill and Ted made the appointment. Because obviously at some point I'm thinking either the wives, somebody told them, or put it in their head that their lives weren't that great, or the wives were just saying, thinking like they need, something to change, a little bit to change, because again, the men are not presented like there's something wrong with them. That's the best part, because when they finally go to see themselves in the future, that's when they realize something's got to change. We got to stop it before we get to that point. But their future selves are so funny, even though they're failures, that it's hilarious. They did write a song before, Brian McCann, as it says in the end credits of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. They had success. They just never wrote the song.
And they do write the song in this. They do write the song in this movie.
What do you guys think of the song? Did you enjoy it?
Just
the music itself.
I thought it was pretty generic.
Yeah, it was generic, but I thought it worked. It's that generic, very like shredding, Van Halen kind of sound that's very much on brand for Bill and Ted.
And again, I think that's where the girls come back and said, it doesn't really matter. The song wasn't the important part. It was the fact that everybody played it at the same time. Because even when they go, like they're telling them it's 113 beats in C major. That's all that matters. Because like if anybody who knows anything about music, Like you can, like when
You
somebody
can
tells
jam
you,
that. Yeah, you can jam in the time signature, and if you have the key in the time signature, you can jam along, and it doesn't matter. Now, how people in the ancient past are going to know the beats per minute, I bet.
Look, if you can buy that they have a
disbelief.
time traveling phone
Oh,
booth,
come on. Yeah,
that's
the
not
language
even-
barrier. and
well,
all that.
music timing has always been a part of music since and I think that was the whole point of going back and getting that one, what was her name, Ling Long?
Yeah.
Was like, because if she was supposedly the one who invented music, that's kind of the whole point, is the beginning to the end. And that was like, and I believe like, and everybody's like, well, this doesn't make sense. They did the song at the end of Bogus Journey. It's like, no, that song was just to win the Battle of the Bands.
And I thought that's why in Bogus Journey, that wasn't the song, that this was another blip, and they had to overcome this hump and win this thing to get to that step where they could be the band that wrote the song that unites.
And Denamolo says that they're reaching the next crucial point in their destiny or whatever. And that's where I love that, like, you can, in the best way this movie says it, like, this is basically the prophecy that Rufus was, that not just Rufus, but the entire future was built upon. If you stop to think about it still, like especially going back to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where they show you much more of the future, where you see like the university and how everybody's like, just this entire society is built upon the logic and the ideals that Bill and Ted live by. And that's just be excellent to each other and party on,
exactly.
And love everybody, and everything's either excellent or bogus.
That's all it is. Two categories: excellent, bogus. The world.
And that's funny because that's where the joke kind of started. Like, they'd sit up on stage and then people would shout out questions, and they would say, "Oh, that's excellent," or "That's bogus."
Great. Very good, great. And one of the things I love the best too, even about the couples therapy scene, is even through this, the wives aren't looking to leave them.
They're even surprised by that.
And
that's
they're
the best
not
part.
looking to change them either. They're looking to just figure out the way forwards. How do we find the way forwards? How do we, balance? And that's, again, I talked about this on, I believe, earlier in the roundtable. It's the question, or maybe on my review, I'm not sure. Maybe I just thought it, but it asks the question that we've seen come up as a trope in film plenty of times before, which is, your dreams are your family. And this movie doesn't ask you to compromise. This movie tells you can have it all. You can chase your dreams, and you can follow and find your dreams and live them, and you can have your family.
I think part of it's about finding that balance too. I think it's the whole point of the film.
That's the whole point. Exactly.
Yeah, because Bill and Ted have been kind of selfish for the last 20 years, just concentrating on this band, and I think that's the whole point. Exactly. And I think that the princesses, even though they believe them and they have faith in them still, I think they've gotten to a point where they're like starting to question the whole prophecy themselves, and that's where it starts to undo time. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody doesn't stop to think about these things like, well, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't make sense. Like, this shouldn't make sense from the start. If Bill and Ted are the chosen ones, then Rufus should have never had to go back and help them, of course. In the first place. So like, that's the whole point, is like, that this guy in the future has this idea that these kids are it, and he's going to do everything in his power, including change history, to make sure it happens. And I mean, that's kind of where we get to this whole pinnacle. Like, it leads up to this moment, and George Carlin explained it in the first movie. They're the music that aligns all time in history, or whatever, basically, in so many words. And that's what this is all about. And I love that they gave us that moment we were waiting for. Like, this is something how many movies have we ever seen where they just never get to this point, or it's a big fucking dud? Like, you go through this big whole thing, and you're just like, yeah.
And
that
so
was great.
I want to address this comment from Brian McCann. He says, the song we should never hear, the film should end as they go on stage about to play. So I want to address that specifically for me. Tom's gone over that, but I want to go a little more in depth on what this song is. It's the song to unite the world. It doesn't, there's nowhere anywhere in canon that says it's the lyrics of the song, it's the beauty of the music, or any of that, right? The whole thing is like, if you have a song, I mean, we've seen this in our history too. Sometimes there's just the right song at the right time that does the right thing. It doesn't make it the world's greatest song, but you associate that with a certain So
it is the greatest song.
I'd argue with Bohemian Rhapsody, but you got an argument there.
the whole point of the song, though, is that it's the song they play as part of this jam session that spans all of space and time, and all of space and time coming together to make music together at the same time is what unites the world. It wouldn't have happened if they hadn't played the song and done this. So this song is immortalized as the song that unites the entire world, but it wasn't the actual song itself, which I like, because I do think there's something when you build up the great, the song that unites the world, that you're going to feel like this letdown if they play the song and it's like, whatever, And I also think there's a portion of people who are going to feel let down if they do what Brian wanted and say, we're going to play the song, but we never actually get to hear it because they just can't write, this song. So I think the way they handled the story was so perfect of acknowledging, yes, this song, the act of getting together and playing this song at this time united the whole world, but it wasn't. And that was the whole point, is Bill and Ted are driving themselves crazy in the beginning of the movie, trying to find the perfect balance of instruments and music theory and all these things that they can put together in this very academic, very passionless way that is very un-Bill and Ted to write this important song. And then what they find out in the end, it's not about the selfish pursuit of writing this great, incredible song because they're so great and so talented. It's about the fact that they have all this heart, they have all this love, they have all this acceptance to give to the whole world, and that bringing that through their music. And bringing that music to everyone.
Right. It could have been anybody almost. The fact that Rufus said they're the ones really is the only reason they're the ones.
The reason they did it. Yeah, and I love that element of it. So
and you're right. That's the best part about the beginning, is they're not bad musicians. Like, the song at the wedding is weird, but you're right. There's so much, if you actually, because I think Chris said it earlier.
Loves the wedding song.
Yeah, he loves the wedding song. Like,
Robert did too.
Yeah, so did Andre.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys were all there. It was interesting. It was weird. It's not what you expect.
I would rather listen to that than the final song.
Are they playing Those Who Rock?
But so Tom, continue, because you were setting us up on the premise on why we go on this journey.
Yeah, so they don't even realize that the wives are gonna, the wives don't even realize they're gonna break up. Bill and Ted don't realize they're gonna break up. And I think the moment that makes it happen is when they get back to the house, and after they talk to the girls, and the girls go inside so they can get to work, meaning Bill and Ted. And then Bill, Ted's just like, because Alex was just, it's almost like reminiscent of that scene from the first film. At the very end where he's like, Ted, what's wrong? And he's like, maybe we should really learn how to play. Well, this time he's like, maybe we really should give it up, kind of a thing. And you feel that moment, and that moment's right there when Kelly shows up. And that's just like in the first film, it's like their breakup is imminent, and they got to stop that. And not only that, it's so imminent that they have to take care of it in the next hour. It's like, and then they find out by going, because that sets up the whole thing. Well, let's go into the future when we have written the song. Because obviously we got to write it at some point. They used the Bill and Ted rules, we'll just go to when we did.
Yeah. So, if someone from the future said it happened, then there's got to be a place we can go where it happened.
Since we're talking spoilers, can we talk about the time jumps they make, Bill and Ted themselves? Because we keep talking.
Well, yeah, that's what we're gonna get.
That's what we're getting into. Yeah, we just want to set that up so we can jump into it. So the first one's fun. I mean, the first one's just a great sort of soft. What's so fun about it is you get to the first time jump. So they go ahead, but like 5 years or something like that.
2 years the first time.
2 years. Just a very small amount of time, and they're just clearly more totally washed up at this point, playing a hotel. No one cares. They say some bullshit at first about how everything's whatever, and they actually confront them.
Yeah.
And that's when these guys revealed, no, your wife's left you, and all this stuff happened, all this terrible shit, and they're just, railing into it. And it's kind of funny because you're like, wow, these guys are pretty much scraping the bottom of the barrel here. How do we get lower than this? So they jump ahead 4 years, and Jeff, I'll let you take this one since I know you're
that future you is a dick.
Which I'll get to one of my favorite parts when you
they go 5 years.
Stop fighting with yourself.
Look, they go 5 years into the future is the exact time.
Then they go to 5 years, yeah.
And there's this beautiful mansion. We're talking out here, Hollywood.
Hollywood Hills, kind of.
So they go.
We finally made it,
and they're greeted by themselves. They both have long hair. They speak with British accents. They're dressed like pirates, and they're hanging out.
This is in the trailer, I think. Yeah.
And they hand the regular Bill and Ted a CD. So this is your song. So they go to leave.
That was truly the most excellent song I've ever heard.
And they go to leave the house, and you find out it's Dave Grohl's house
because he's in the front fucking door.
In future Bill and Ted,
you lied to us
and acted like this was their song, and it was actually a Dave Grohl song that was coming out, and it was because the thing is, you guys mentioned about the budget, how this movie isn't this big budget movie, but Dave Grohl, one of the biggest musicians in history, just shows up, plays himself, and he's a pretty good actor. Like, he was in Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. He plays the devil. He's been in a couple things. He's overall really, he's good at everything he does.
Super nice guy too. Met him once. It was
lucky.
Fun. He gave me a hug. Coat? He gave me a hug and he told me he loved my fuzzy jacket.
That's cool.
And I said, I love you.
He seems like a nice guy.
He's super nice. He was at his cousin is a comedian, stand-up comedian. He was headlining a show the same night I was.
Well, we forgot one bit in between there, because after they first go visit themselves, they go back to their wives because they're told what happens, and their wives get picked up by older versions of themselves and taken to every point in every or every different alternate universe there could be to see if they could find a life to be happy with them, and they couldn't find one.
Oh no! So they come and tell the wives of now all of this,
and they're like, "Don't leave." But wait, you're gonna anyway.
It totally freaks them out entirely, and probably is what the entire thing that catalyzes them going on the journey in the first place, and all of that stuff. So now we're in Dave Grohl's freaking house.
So then back to Dave Grohl's house. Sorry, yeah.
But
I love that though, because he's like, "Oh, we're such liars," and the drinking.
Oh my god! Oh god!
So Dave Grohl calls the police, and it's Ted's dad and his brother. Deacon. Yeah, and this is when the robot Dennis, what's his face?
Dennis Caleb McCoy.
This is when Dennis finds them, and he shoots.
They escape, but as the phone booth flips, goes. Which, by the way, is
hold on, we forgot one thing. Wow. They go back to confront other Bill and Ted about them stealing Dave Grohl's song. They're bald, they're wearing wigs and shit. They're like,
they've gone back in,
and this is important, because the whole thing was they wanted them to take Dave Grohl's song back to the future, back to the past, so then they could say it's their song, and make their life better. But I love it because they got the gun bit. He's like, "Bill, you really don't have to hold a gun on us." He's like, "Really? Watch what happens when I don't." And he's like, "See? Oh, that's a really good point, Bill." But that's going to come into a point later. Is I think in one of because he goes, "They're not going to do the thing, are they?" "Yes, they're doing the thing. I was hoping they would forget it this time." Well, the thing is I think they killed themselves in previous versions of this. Because that comes into play later when they're in prison and they're like, "You know what happens if he kills us, right?" "Yeah, we die too, dude." So I think there's like either a deleted scene or it's just a callback to that. Like at some point, Bill shot one or the other and it killed the other. And they figured it out finally. Oh, shit. If we kill one of ourselves as a kid or younger version,
we're going to die. Oh, no. I love that.
I kind of picked up on that bit, but before we're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, so like they're like supposed to take the song back, and it's Dave Grohl's song, and he's like, "Yeah, he's outside calling the cops right now."
God, like no, and they oh my god, well, it's so real. One of my favorite parts is when they're talking about this Bill and Ted and how much they suck and how they're worse than the old ones. Ted's like, "God, he's even a bigger dick than other me," and Bill's like, "Yeah, the last me wasn't that bad, but it worked." I just thought it was so fucking funny because he's this washed up asshole. He's just as much of an asshole as future Ted, and Bill's just like, "Oh, he was pretty cool."
Well, it's kind of this ongoing thing throughout the whole movies, actually, where Bill's always much more trusting of himself than Ted always is, and they really play that up in this version, especially at the end, but we'll get to that part. But yeah, because that's like the whole thing is Ted just doesn't really like, he's like, "I don't know what it is when I talk to myself, but it's just really weird."
I love how they always even in the first movie, they always called themselves Bill and Ted, like, "See you later."
The other us's, yeah.
I love how they keep it's just
doing all those things.
They really, obviously it's the same people. They knew their shit when they went back. Like people always going about George Lucas, "You lost your touch with Star Wars." These guys didn't lose their single step. Touch. This is
not a single step.
Yeah.
So then after,
then they go a few more years ahead.
Which, by the way, is a nifty thing that we didn't touch on. I actually didn't touch on anywhere else too, which I really enjoy, is the fact that they have gone to the future in this new fancy pod to talk to the Supreme Ruler to find out what they have to go back and do. The new time travel device is like a big egg.
Very iPhone design.
And as they walk down the aisle, and this is the great moment, the moment that directly pays homage to George Carlin, as they walk down the aisle this grand entry to get to the where they're going, and there's the phone booth. The original phone booth is sitting there, and there's a hologram of George Carlin as Rufus, telling you this is the original phone booth that they used to travel in Bloods. This historical monument.
Whoever they got to do the voice was amazing, because it's not George's voice, but it's so damn close.
It's really spot on.
I thought it was
like, you thought it was me?
I'm joking. Come on,
I know I do a pretty good George. That would have been awesome. He's like, greetings.
Great.
This is the original phone booth.
And so, because that's the whole thing is they brought them to the future, and they have this beautiful wall full of gorgeous guitars and whatnot. Like, we have everything you need here to write the song, and they're like, we can't write the song, so they go steal the phone booth. So what's neat is they are traveling time in the original phone booth, which is just a nice.
Still rickety as fuck too.
Still rickety. It's all the same.
I wish
it's
it
still
was still had the
shambly,
piece of gum.
right?
I think it still is, but like you can hardly tell because they don't really show the top that much.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, I think it still has the gum on it.
I didn't tell you this, but you remember those Bill and Ted figures I got? The phone booth's coming out. I'm gonna pre-order it.
I already pre-ordered it today with Bogus Journey figures.
I'm gonna get because I'm gonna say this. If anybody out there that we're not speaking to the world's largest audience, but if anybody that's out there that made this movie ever hears this, because of the quality of your film, I will be buying more Bill and Ted shit. Even though I like Bill and Ted already. Today I almost bought us these Wild Stallion shirts, but I found out they were unlicensed, and I like Bill and Ted so much that I care. I have the Excellent Adventure figures that you have, Tom. I'll be buying Bogus Journey. I'll be buying the phone booth, and I'll be buying the next box set. So if you're out there, anybody, you've done such a good job. I will spend more money on future shit. Hello, Star Wars. That's where you fucked up.
Damn straight. So after following the thread, that I thought it was really we fully
okay, so they get away, they get out of the house.
Before we go, I don't think we fully explained that as they're getting away, the robot goes up to shoot them, but the phone booth disappears and he ends up killing Ted's dad.
Yeah.
Oh, Ted's dad just goes to hell.
That's the first time we see death.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Which is great. And that was another thing I talked about, how I liked the amount of station that was in the movie. I also think I also like the amount of death too, because I love Bill Sadler's death. I love that character. T was my favorite part of Bogus Journey, my favorite addition to Bogus Journey. But I did like that he's not just there in the beginning. They have him separate back and all that stuff, because it would have felt too much like a third wheel if he's there the whole movie. And so I love that they had to go back and then he becomes a part of the story again. It worked. That worked for me.
Well, that's where the girls in their story converge as well, and well, the kids, and I think I said this early on, but the kids are really having their own excellent adventure in Bogus Journey in the background. Exactly. Like, it's not overpowering. It's almost so subtle and nuanced that if you weren't paying that much attention, you wouldn't even really notice that it was just basically them redoing Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey in the background, and then the two stories converge in hell.
That's not a criticism, that they're rehashing it. It works so well. It just plays right into it, because it's not Bill and Ted going on that journey again. It's their daughters having the same, going on the same trip, and that's sort of one of the things that's what brings them all together.
It's even a little different though, because instead of Rufus coming to tell, like Bill and Ted, this is what you're going to do, it was they go to Kelly and they're like, this thing can go through time, right? So like, can we totally go pick up like historical figures to help our dads? Like, I love that they just come up and figure that out. Like,
let's just do it.
And I love that the way they're, and we keep bouncing back to the girls, but this is about the time that those stories start bouncing back and forth. Okay. But I love how they think just like their dads. Like, they go to Jimi Hendrix first and he's like, fuck off. And they're like, well, how do we get Jimi Hendrix? Well, let's get somebody who Jimi Hendrix likes. Well, who does Jimi Hendrix like? Well, they go back and they get Louis Armstrong, and they show Louis Armstrong, Jimi Hendrix playing a guitar that they recorded real quick. So he's just like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Incredible. And it's just this domino effect. It's like the first movie to where, they're like, well, we can pick up this historical figure, we get this historical figure, a lot of same kind of thing, but it's only musicians this time, and that's it. But yeah.
Exactly. And I thought it was nice, because I thought that was, a nice blend too, the whole overarching plot of the two previous movies, where it's about the music like it was in Bogus Journey, but it's about the traveling through history and gathering these figures like in the first one. I thought that balance was nice.
And then when they die, it's like their own Bogus Journey. Yeah.
Exactly.
We'll get to that. But yeah, anyway, so they leave. So the boys
Tom
me.
just died, so
Rest in peace, Tom. We'll miss you, brother.
F in the chat for Tom.
I need to get a drink, but
Go
you were back at we were back at Dave Grohl's house. I love how they figure out how to get away from themselves too.
If we put a bucket on our head, we won't know where we went.
I don't know what we're doing. I know that's the idea.
God.
They still got it. I know.
It's so true.
I love how their dad's just standing there, and all of a sudden one goes over the rail, then the other one does.
Oh my God, that's freaking brilliant.
He's like, "What the hell?" And can anybody please tell me why this movie was rated PG-13? I am dying to figure it out because
probably because they don't want a PG. Because what's that? There's a real famous movie that got a PG rating. And they didn't want it, so they put one cuss word in it. It's like something we all know and like, too. It's like,
well, the first two were only PG.
Oh, well, I mean,
PG was different, and I don't know. I mean, maybe
the only things I can think of are the fact that Missy marries Deacon is a little risque, and the fact that they go to hell. That's the only two things that I can think of.
Bogus Journey too. I think maybe in this one,
PG-13 has changed since those days. That's the only other thing.
In this one, also you see them get shot, which may be different, than getting pushed off a cliff in terms of
True. I would say if Bogus Journey came out now, it probably would get a PG-13.
Probably. And this whole thing to keep in mind is the governing body that creates these ratings, the MPAA, is an incredibly capricious and arbitrary organization whose rating system is not based at all on any real logic or rules.
Because I bring it up, but it's not a kids movie, but it's most definitely a family movie. Like you can watch this with your kids.
Oh, sure.
You can watch this with your older parents, especially if they remember the original film. They're gonna love it. Yeah. It's got something in it for everybody. I'd even go on a limb where you almost don't have to have seen the other two movies. It helps.
It definitely helps. It enhances.
But I think you can enjoy it without it. I'm willing to go out on that limb.
Can you say that about Bogus Journey as well?
No, I don't know if you could watch Bogus Journey without the first film.
But somebody in the chat brought up their opinion was you can do all three films separately on their own. They stand up. I was just asking you because of bouncing off that.
In a way, maybe, but I feel like because Excellent Adventure set up so much, Bogus Journey didn't. There'd be some elements of, the future and the time travel, the rule of the time travel and things like that we don't get enough of. It'd be interesting to go back and watch and really see, watch the beginning. Cause that's really it. Like, yeah, it's just the intro. If they don't cover enough of sort of how this world works in the intro, then you do need the first one. But if they do, then the rest of the story, is fine. This one, I think because it came so much later, there was more effort given to, referencing, nothing felt like a rehash, but there was definitely more effort given to referencing some of the older material, even just little things, like when the dad goes on his tirade about you never did all these things and lists all the things they did, so that if you haven't seen the other two movies, now you know all the things they've done. Easy, nice, easy way to do it. I mean, you could do the second film as far as like if you just added just a few more elements as far as giving a bit of backstory, but the problem you have though is the Excellent Adventure is such a great story. You're like, well, I want to see that story. If you didn't, but I mean, you could go into Bogus Journey without Excellent Adventure with enough. There's almost enough backstory with maybe a little additional, but there's quite a bit there to where you could almost see it on its own.
Yeah. Mark Gonzo says all three available digitally for $35. So if you haven't seen the first two, I highly recommend. That sounds like a great deal.
And that is still, isn't Mulan $30 for just one rental? Like you have to, you own three full movies.
You can own 3 movies for $5 more than you can watch Mulan.
And anyone out there's like, well, it's a Disney movie, it's worth more. Fuck. No,
it's not. And this one deserves your money because it was made again, heart, passion, and it'll go to a better place if this movie is successful. And this is one of the important things, that I can't stress enough. This is how we course correct. Independent media that people respond to, that people are willing to pay for. And when mainstream media starts to see independently made things that buck the wokeness trend, that buck the Hollywood tropes, that buck, whatever Hollywood says you have to do or can and can't do in films, as Hollywood sees people respond to movies like this, if they see it make money, if this has a huge box office splash, then heads turn, people take notice and realize what it is, what they start to think, what about this do people respond to? And then they start to try to course correct and take their own material back in that direction as well. So if you are at all interested in this movie, spend the money on it. Don't go out. Don't pirate this one. Don't seek it elsewhere.
Yeah, this is the one. Don't pirate.
Do not pirate this movie because the whole thing is you're not anything else. Even if it's a good movie, if it's Hollywood, okay, who cares? It's gajillions of dollars and all the corporate BS and whatnot. If you pirate this film, you're just stealing from people you're stealing from people who took time and money out of their lives to make something for you, the fans, because they wanted you to have it. For no other reason. That's like if someone gives you the nicest birthday present and you pickpocket them. Don't do it. That's
You wouldn't download a car, would you?
Thanks, 90s and early 2000s.
Early 2000s DVD
DVD ads.
I used to love this. I'm like, yeah, I would download a car if I fucking could.
Dude, I can fucking download a car
in my backyard.
Hell yeah!
But, I'm gonna see what pops up when you Google that because I always want to see what people's responses are to you don't download a car. So you just got I don't know what I'm trying to do.
You wouldn't download a car.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god, it's the first one.
So we did talk a lot earlier on about that how they go visit their we covered a lot of that scene how they go visit eventually their future selves. They go far in the future to finally see themselves on their deathbed, and that's the moment. It's such a nice moment too because they do give them the song and all that, and they do get the song from them, but that's also where they get the advice about, the sage advice about how they've gone off track and what, what this is actually about and all that. So it's a nice little charming moment too. At which one that is, what a great conceit too. Cause the whole thing is, Dennis, the robot, shows up. And that's where we actually get the character of Dennis. Is he shows up to kill them. So far, he's just this mindless machine. He hasn't done or said anything. I don't think he's ever had a line yet.
No, because he would just kind of stare at him. He was scary, not scary, but intimidating.
Yeah, this whole thing. He was this intimidating, villainous figure. And then they show up. He confronts them outside this home. Like, we got the song. You don't have to kill us. And he's like, oh, okay. But then and then you see the awkwardness where he has to reveal, I killed your daughters. And all the other musicians sent them to hell. And so they have to get him to kill them to go to hell to rescue the daughters, but he won't do it. So then they have to break the flash drive that has the song on it so that they don't have the song, so that he has to kill them. So they have to go to hell to rescue their daughters, which is such a great roundabout way to do all this. It's so delightful. Hell's gotten an upgrade. It's a lot fancier than we see it in Bogus Journey.
You know what though? While it's got a fancy upgrade, I even said this to you when we watched it. I preferred the design and the way the second one shot Hell because it was kind of it was creepy.
It was
and it was a little scary. This one was very much like it was hilarious though. Like when they go back up in the van and they hit the people. Like it's God, it's a good looking Hell, but I think there's more atmosphere in the first Hell compared to the second Hell.
What I will say though is I think the first Hell is really good for Bogus Journey, and the second Hell is really good for this movie. I think aesthetically, we've had some updates and stuff like that, and I think the wacko aesthetic of going to hell and what the fuck does hell look like in Bogus Journey is a ton of fun. But we have this slightly more updated, sleek look, and then what hell actually is, we kind of already been there, done that, so we don't really need to experience, oh, this is what hell looks like, so having it bigger, we got a little bit of CGI. We got a little bit in the CGI budget here. Let's make a big, pretty hell.
Hey, Tom, since you've talked to the writer before, have they ever talked about, like, why Bill and Ted 2 was shot the way it was, like, what tone they were going for? Because it's such a noticeable difference in the way the film looks. Like this one.
Well, they got a first-time director who I don't know if he did much else other than I think he did like some short films. I don't think he was like he may have been a music video director, but I don't think he was. But they were definitely going for a dark meets like the 90s Dayglow kind of look. And then as far as like what do you mean, like the overall tone or like the actual cinematography?
Well, I mean, the cinematography, because it's got like the Dutch tilts and it's very dark and
yeah, like he was definitely trying to do a lot. Like you got to remember, this kid was like probably fresh out of like film school and shit like that. So I'm sure he was trying to, and I mean, it kind of worked for the film's advantage, I would say, in a lot of ways. It makes it look very unique and stand out from the first film. Like, I mean, sometimes, you know, you want to get that same feeling, the same look, what have you, as the previous film, like you do with things like Rocky or Star Wars, kind of. But I think that was one of the things that really turned me on at the time about Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, was how different it looked and how of a unique and, you know, as far as the cinematographer, I don't know who did that part of it. But I know the director, like I said, was very adamant about certain things looking the way they did. And there was a production designer, though. I think that the same guy worked on both first and second film. Okay. But he's actually responsible for a lot of the look of the second film as well. Like he picked out all the foam stuff for the future looks and stuff for the costumes and all that kind of stuff. And he had to tell them how to shoot it right with the black lights and stuff so it would glow. So, like, I know he played a lot of part of that.
I want to address this comic because it's interesting to me. And Jeff, you said you know a bit
I know.
more
I've watched
countless
hours of this guy's video.
Vinny Anderson says, "What you think of the nostalgia critics' new vid all about the 3 and shitting on the third heavily?" Well, first of all, has he seen the third one?
Oh,
because this came out a day ago. So from what we know, if he has, he had to get special permission to put this review out yesterday.
If not, then he broke the embargo. Definitely,
he broke the embargo, which is a shitty thing to do.
Well, that's Channel Awesome's that kind of entertainment.
That. Yeah,
go look up the history. They're like if the Phantom Menace blew up and we all became assholes. Remember how Marty McFly's like, "What happens in the future?" Yeah. That's what they are, because there's sexual assault allegations and all kinds of shit in grooming, all this crap. Go look at the change the channel, whatever that thing was. Like there was this whole outpouring. And look at the Nostalgia Critic. At one point in time, I couldn't wait to watch his videos every Wednesday when I got up in college, like my junior year of school. I got up, watched the Nostalgia Critic, then went to class. I was such a big fan. That being said, the dude changed formats to a point where he's not even a parody of himself. It's almost like hard to watch his content. And actually, I don't watch it anymore completely. None of the Channel Awesome people, none of them. Because his videos are, let me show you the whole movie and then just randomly have a joke or scream or running crap. Like, remember when we watched The Angry Video Game Nerd and you chuckled? Mm-hmm. The Angry Video Game Nerd and this guy, the Nostalgia Critic, were, both doing, and they interacted before and they work well together. But the nerd is a smart guy with a lot of integrity who's a film fan. Yeah. The Nostalgia Critic is a guy who built a big platform, has a lot of entertaining content, but his takes on shit these days are very out of touch. Like, whatever. People still watch, good for him, more power to him. But him shitting on this is no surprise. But I think in many ways, shitting on this movie is looking for attention at times.
I agree too. I think in this situation, if you're shitting on this movie, you're doing it just to do it. If you didn't like the first one, I mean, if you just don't like the Bill and Ted franchise, okay, then you don't like it. And I mean, it's important to be able to dissociate. I don't like this type of humor. I don't like this type of movie from this movie sucks and it's stupid. And I think a lot of people fail at that. A lot of people look at a Bill and Ted and go, well, it's just this dumb comedy. But I remember, I mean, my dad had that impression too, kind of. He's seen parts of it here and there. That was sort of his memory of it was, he's might probably seen the whole thing at some point. It was this dumb comedy. And we were talking more about it, and he forgot how clever some moments are. I'm talking to my mom about it. She's like, I don't know if I ever saw the first one or not and whatnot. So I'm just sort of going through a little bit of the plot, and she's chuckling just listening. She's chuckling just listening to me like detail the plot of this. But yeah, maybe it's not for you. Maybe the suspension of disbelief, the wackiness, the upbeatness, all of maybe positivity just ain't your thing, and that's fine. But you got to recognize the difference. I mean, there are people who don't like high fantasy and went and watched The Lord of the Rings and thought that was the most boring thing they've ever seen.
And then there's people like me who don't like high fantasy and watch Lord of the Rings and these are pretty cool movies.
They are, and it's important to dissociate to be able to dissociate. This is not up my alley versus this isn't good. You look at something like I can look at tons of things I can look at. that I can acknowledge is a good movie, but not up my alley. Nightmare Before Christmas. I really don't like that movie. I don't care for that aesthetic. It's not for me. I don't take nothing away from it. It's a perfectly fine aesthetic. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the story. Clearly, tons and tons of people love that movie. It's just not for me. So I don't run around shitting on it, saying it's the worst movie. It's so bad. It's so overrated. It's just not for me. And there's a huge difference. And people I think like to selectively forget that. Because, like you said, it's attention seeking. If I selectively forget this, I make a big stink. I throw a little tantrum because I hate messages of coming together and supporting your family because I'm a curmudgeon, And if I whinge and bitch and complain and be a curmudgeon, people will respond to me. It's like, good for you, asshole. Adam Wofford, thank you for the super chat. Says you don't steal from Johnny Silverhand. I don't know what that's from. But we're going to find out. Maybe it's...
That's what our show is. Obscure references, you'll talk, I'll look them up.
It really is.
Johnny Silverhand is... Oh, shit. It's Keanu Reeves' character in Cyberpunk.
Oh, shit.
That's that game we're going to play at the end of the year?
Yeah. I know about this. I know all about this. This is the game. Well, not all about it, but I know a lot of stuff about it. I know he's in it and stuff. Nice.
Look at that model. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's pretty badass. I would have sex with that model.
You can. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros. So,
I know. It is pretty darn good, though.
Of course you not. Ones and zeros versus me.
Versus real man right here.
Real man.
Lots of real man. If Tom seems quiet right now, he's grabbing something to drink, so I'm sure he'll make
I'm just reading people talk about the channel awesome stuff. Oh, Brian McCann, Opinion on the Hot Princess Bride. I fucking love that movie. This is one of Jesse's favorite movies. Before we ever met, I'd owned it on Blu-ray. To me, The Princess Bride is one of those movies that I would catch on TV as a kid, and I would stop what I was doing to watch it. I don't think I ever actually saw it from the beginning as a kid, so I didn't know it was called. It was just that movie I liked that would pop up on TV maybe every couple months, and then I eventually found out, and now, it's a top 50 favorite. I'm only putting it there because I don't want to be like, it's one of my favorites. I don't like it more than I like Back to the Future or something, but it's up there for me.
Stephen Walton from 1 to 10, excellent.
Well, but if I'm going to give you an honest answer, what I gave on the podcast, I said 8. I said 7's not generous enough. 8, if you're a Bill and Ted fan, and it's a good movie. Even if you don't really love Bill and Ted, you're just looking for something to watch.
If you don't love Bill and Ted, if you're not familiar with Bill and Ted, but you're into comedy and stuff like that, it's probably like a 6 or 7.
And you, Steven, you'll laugh your ass off at this movie. A lot of parts.
We haven't got a comedy in how long? I brought this up earlier. It's been
proper good one. That's about. That's the thing. Sometimes even recently, comedy has become about. Comedy's either gone one of two ways. Either the movie's just joke after joke after joke and no substance. And it just falls flat after a while. The Will Ferrell Sherlock Holmes movie that came out a couple of years ago.
Garbage.
Such trash. It was just them trying to be clever the entire effing thing, and nothing effing happened. And then where you go the other direction, where it's all of this plot, and they forget to be funny.
Well, right. The last two or three things I can really remember being truly funny were probably Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, and Thor Ragnarok. You'd have to go all the way back to Step Brothers before that.
Well, we just watched 2 good comedies actually from made for 2020. Palm Springs.
Ooh, true.
And Eurovision.
Ooh, true.
Oh yeah, I forgot My Name is Dolomite because I don't almost think of that as a comedy, but it was pretty fucking funny.
Actually, that is a fun one we just discovered is Eurovision. That's
Netflix original.
Netflix original with Will Ferrell.
So what was the other one you said? Eurovision and what? Because I've heard of Eurovision.
Oh, yeah, Palm Springs.
Palm
Springs. Okay, somebody else was telling me about that one too.
So good. Oh, both of those films, 0 on the wokeness scale.
Tropic Thunder, that was before Step Brothers, wasn't it?
Same year.
Was it same year? Okay.
I think one.
I was never a fan of The Hangover, but I understand people enjoy them.
Part 1, yes. Part 2 can suck it. It's terrible.
I've only seen 1.
3, Brian, I like 3 more than 2, but I love the first Hangover.
I like this take. Birds of Prey is a comedy from 2020 because it was hilariously stupid.
My problem with Hangover, I haven't watched it since it came out. I probably appreciate it more now with today's, climate, but then when it came out, I'm just like, I liked it better the first time when it was called Dude, Where's My Car?
Tom,
instead of Dude, Where's My Friend?
So when we go to Vegas for Star Trek Las Vegas and all that stuff, Tom, watch it again and let's see if we can relive some of that movie.
Oh God, let's not, please.
I don't want to remember that. Like your birthday night, all that birthday stuff, but there'll be a night after.
I hope we get to go out there. Like I'll be honest with you guys, I'm starting to worry about.
I'm starting to worry too.
We've been worried for like a month.
I've been very worried. I've been, and that's a big thing. You know, the biggest factor. Everyone's acting like, you know, if Trump wins, we'll find out coronavirus was a hoax all along. That or one of the other wins, like somehow the result of the election is going to have an impact on a fucking disease. When the reality is
sickness works.
Not how
sickness works. Who was the president
works.
when Spanish flu was a thing?
When the reality,
Teddy Roosevelt, right? Teddy Roosevelt personally beat the Spanish flu.
He did it all by himself. But the reality is that, you know, there is an actual thing. Whether you want to, you can deliberate. It's you know, how bad it is or isn't, but it does exist. It is out there. It is straining our healthcare system. We're getting into flu season. Flu season already strains the healthcare system every single winter. Now you're getting the double whammy. Now the flip side is, since we're all socially distancing, hopefully the flu season won't be as bad. But you know, we're at a you know, so for me it's all everything. The next 6 months to a year of our lives, I think, are really contingent on how bad the flu is this year. There's so much hinges on that, because I think if it's not so bad, if it's a very mild flu season, if people, you know, if social distancing and whatnot keeps the you know, casualty rates down on that, then we'll just sort of continue as is and hopefully keep you know, working through this. But if we have a really bad nasty flu season like we did last year, it's gonna be I don't want to see that happen. Let's put it this way, because that's definitely, if that's the case, you can say goodbye to any convention through the new year, into the new year.
We should. Okay, go ahead. I was going to say, we should pick up where we left off as far as the story real quick to get finished, but you were going to say something else, Jeff.
I was going to say, if this COVID thing wasn't a thing, we'd be at Star Wars Celebration today.
We would be.
This is where we'd be.
Yeah. And that's the only reason I haven't booked anything yet or anything like that, is because I'm just afraid that it's going to all come crashing down.
We're in a nice position where, I mean, first of all, it's easy to book a hotel day of in Vegas, and if we don't get good flights, we can just drive. So
we probably were going to drive anyway.
Probably
love that drive.
I love the drive because I love stop. Well, first of all, it's a great road to just open up on the highway, and I love stopping at Peggy Sue's 1950s diner.
I do. It's delicious. I have an idea. If it all opens up and we're going to do that, call up Steven, see if he wants to go, and then have him fly here and drive with us.
Yeah, that's what we did
on the way back.
On the way back,
I was there, but I'm just saying, like, do it again. If it's economically, I'd love to hang out with him and all these people. Like, I need Vegas to happen, because I even said to Jesse, you know, played it cool. This stuff affects us all differently. I need something to look forward to. You know, I'm very happy here. Working to build the channel and do all that stuff is great. But, you know, which one do you want?
It doesn't matter.
I'll give you one of these. Cucumber. But, like, I just need something to look forward to. So that's what I'm most looking forward to. More so than Christmas, more so than any kind of holiday. I need Star Trek Las Vegas. I want to meet the fans.
Honestly, I think this year is going to be the year, like, people are like, I've had enough of my fucking family.
Brian McCann says, Jesse, invite Anna too to Vegas. Okay, first of all, Anna is one of my best friends in the entire world, so I don't go anywhere, you know, to any kind of gathering like this that I don't already invite her to. Second of all, the chat's supposed to be there. You think Anna's really going to miss out on that? She loves William Shatner possibly more than Mark Hamill. So, but
William Shatner has accomplished a lot more in his career.
Neither more than George Lucas. No, Henry Cavill. Actually, that's a question I ask Anna next week in the matriarchy. Who does she love more, George Lucas or Henry Cavill?
There's going to be a diffence.
Obviously,
you know, like one you're attracted to and one you're attracted to up here.
No, she talks about George Lucas as her future husband. She calls him her future husband. And the second thing is,
she's not the problem in that equation. The fact that he has a wife already is the problem. Like, Anna, you're awesome.
Power to you. She can do it.
George Lucas in.
But he seems pretty happy with his current life.
Yeah.
And to the second point, I turned 30 just a couple weeks before that convention happens. I was planning on celebrating my 30th out there. So there's no way in hell one of my best friends in the entire world is missing out on my 30th birthday.
Well, her name is that Star Wars girl.
If she answers incorrectly on the matriarch, I'm going to force her to change her channel name to that Henry Cavill girl.
I may not be able to explode her uterus like a teenager blowing up the Death Star, but I can definitely blow her mind.
While she blows something else of yours.
I haven't seen it since 1978.
There are mirrors, George. There are mirrors. Come on.
I'm too modest.
reasonable.
Yeah, we should be drunk for this.
We should be. Jeez. Oh God.
I see the coconut.
So George Lucas, did you see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I don't watch movies.
That's too bad. What do you do all day?
I race cars and I raise goats.
You raise goats.
Yeah, but they're not regular goats.
What makes them special?
They're Vietnamese pygmy goats.
So they like fit in your teacup?
Yeah, they're small.
How do you keep track of all of them?
Joke the entire time. Teacup, Vietnamese.
Oh my
small.
God.
I like small things. I don't understand why, but I wasn't a big fan of Chewbacca the Wookiee, so I cut him in half and I took the hair and made it shorter. And I called him an Ewok.
Oh, is that the real reason for Ewoks? Huh?
Yeah. Wookiee, Ewok. Yeah, see?
Nothing to do with merchandising at all.
Everybody thinks I'm clever. It's just I just keep rehashing the same shit.
Well, Vinny Anderson wants to.
Gardola the Hutt, guess what? She's the same thing as Jabba.
Oh, let's be real. Let's be real. With few notable exceptions, all the Hutts are pretty much the same.
Pretty much.
They're all hermaphroditic too.
And Jango Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing as Boba.
No, you're kidding. I never would have done that.
My childhood's been ruined tonight.
But he's got a cooler costume.
George.
Do you think Jango Fett has a cooler costume than Boba Fett, Jesse?
No, I like Boba Fett's better.
There's a story behind it. Tom, what do you think? Oh, George.
Agree to disagree.
All right, George, get the fuck out of here. We need Tom back.
I'm hungry for spaghetti. Does anybody have any Diet Coke?
I'll make you some spaghetti if you go to the go get Tom, okay?
Hey, he's back. Oh my God, Tom, where are you keeping George? Jeez, do you let him out?
He's in my pocket.
He sounds very limited in his worldview right now, and his ability to experience the world.
He's been very obsessed with pygmy goats. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Wait, they should have pygmy goats in Goat Simulator.
Oh my God.
We're secretly obsessed with.
I don't even know if they're a real thing. I just made them.
If we can have teacup pigs, I'm pretty. Micro pigs are a real thing.
What are they just for pets?
Pets. Yep.
I get it. Like, who would want to cook the littlest side of bacon in the world?
I mean, it works because if you see a piglet, they're actually super cute. Then they grow into pigs and they're just fat.
But to finish off with Bill and Ted before we get too far off, like from when they go from Grohl's house, they go a few more years in the future, and that's where they see themselves in prison, and everybody saw that in the trailer.
The prison part. We don't even talk about that. I skipped way ahead while you were getting a drink or something. We skipped way ahead, and we covered the old people home, and them getting shot and going to hell and finding their daughters and stuff. But we didn't know. I totally forgot prison for a minute. Prison's great. Tom, keep going.
Well, no, that's where I was saying earlier. Like they're like, remember what happens if he kills us, right, dude? Yeah, we die too. Like, so that's where I'm sure at some point the other Bill kill.
Like, whoops, oops, that again. Right, that sucks. Because they didn't think that through. They learned by doing. Bill and Ted are such great examples of characters that they don't think, they just do. It's kind of funny because this great thing in absurdist theater. Very frequently, you have two lead characters, and one of them is the brain and one is the body. So one is the one who can think through all these things and figure out all the answers, but is totally incapacitated and can't figure out how to do anything. And you have another character who just kind of does things and stuff happens to them, but they can't grasp any of it, and they kind of learn by just stumbling around and doing things. Bill and Ted both are that second one, which is kind of fun because there is no, Rufus is the kid they're counterbalance usually, but he's not with them the whole time. So typically as they're going and making their mistakes or not, there is no grounded counterbalance, which is why these movies can get just more and more unhinged, as you go along, which is fun.
I think it's kind of summed up when they go to meet Socrates, and he's like, it's the knowledge and knowing that you know nothing. Like, that is Bill and Ted.
Oh,
they know that they know nothing, but that's okay. They'll figure it out.
but that's its own version of wisdom. And that's, I said when we were talking about the first version, future versions they find that are already, you feel like they're already at, hit rock bottom. Where do we go from here? And such the joy of this movie is watching, where do you go from washed out divorcees playing hotels for nobody? You go to, thieves, people who've just lost all their scruples, and then you go to freaking prison. It's like,
I love the effect they used too for the muscle suits.
They look so good.
They look great.
It was so well done and so.
Well, it helps they had Kevin Yeager probably doing them for free.
Yeah,
like Kevin Yeager worked on all 3 of these films.
Okay,
and he's a guy who's pretty much worked on everything.
He's involved with Predator at all? Is he?
No, I don't think that's one of them. But like he's done Freddy, I think one of the Jasons. I know he's done Chucky. I think like all that kind of stuff. He worked on the first 2 Bill and Ted's. He did the trying to remember if what else did he do?
Let's see. I pulled him up. He did Chucky, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Cat in the Hat film, Sleepy Hollow, Hellraiser Bloodline. Oh, he did Face Off. That's probably what I know him from. He's one of the founding fathers of special effects makeup.
Nice. That's pretty badass. Definitely had some good runs there.
Was it way more shit that just?
Well, yeah, those are just highlights. Those are some pretty solid
Oh
highlights.
yeah, he's worked
I found his agent's address on
cool.
encyclopedia.com.
Hooray. So that's when they show Prison Bill.
Friday the 13th.
So after they visit themselves, they have to go way further in the future, get to the old people, whatever, a lot of that, etc. As the girls are going further and further back in the past, they collect, we already talked about the Hendrix and how they get Hendrix and Louis Armstrong, and then we go back and get Mozart. We've talked about the flautist they grab, we've talked about the cave woman drummer chick, and then they're in this freaking like train wreck on looks like the 110. They use that specific piece of high. Actually, I know exactly. It's a very similar. If you saw La La Land, that scene, the opening scene in the beginning where they're all stuck in traffic, and they're all out and dancing and this and that and the other. It's right around there that they use. I wonder if that's just a specific section that for some reason. I think because there's an expression that kind of picks up there. For some reason, that must be a specific spot that they can close down without people losing their minds in LA.
We even have special highways out here for filming. Like, we can shut down the highway here.
Well, I'm just wondering because it looks like pretty much the same place. It could have been shot somewhere different, but it looks like a specific spot of the 110 that was the same one they used from La La Land.
But you know what's nice about that? This movie had a small budget there where they couldn't just CGI, build a small section and CGI it all.
No, it was cheaper. It was cheaper to get a permit
Well, I think that's why they're on a stage. They set up a stage at the end, so they only have so long that you can really see that it's whatever. And then they probably.
But this movie is one of those things that maybe it costs less money, but you don't look at the film as lesser. Like the tricks to do something like that. Like that scene right there.
It's the same like when you go back, to last year. I brought this up earlier too. Shazam had an iota of the budget of Captain Marvel, but you watch those two next to each other. Does Shazam look any shoddier, any crappier than Captain Marvel?
Story.
Not at all, and it's got a much better story. But yeah. And so this ending that we get everybody back to, and that's such a beautiful thing too. Was the wives that when the way they come around, they don't get some magical answer. No. There's I saw this one. They don't get some magical answer. They don't get some magical solution. They go to all these other versions, and in seeing how crappy their lives are in these other versions, and how crappy Bill and Ted are. What they realize is not, oh God, Bill and Ted are terrible, we should leave them. What they realize is this reality is the best one. This version of Bill and Ted we have is the best version, and we want to keep that. So they come back to them for that. It's such a great way to handle that. I mean, it's so easy to see watching the trailer. It's so easy to imagine a movie where the wives just show them up and shit on them for being deadbeats, where the daughters are disappointed in them and or just show them up the whole time by being so much better than their dads ever could hope to be. It's very easy to just watch that show and imagine that's where they were going with the story. Mm-hmm. And the reality couldn't be, and I totally get in our current climate seeing that and making those assumptions. But it's so wonderful that none of those things came to fruition. None of the things I was afraid of became relevant at all. And it just, yeah. And they talked about the discovery of what the song actually is. So they use the infinity button to bring instruments to everyone through time and space, so everyone can play along together. And it's just, yeah, it's just this, and it's the whole message. And that's what I'd like to say too, yeah, we have a lot of messaging right now about unity and inclusion, don't we? Not so much unity, more like inclusion, diversity, all of these things. And so much of it is undigestible because it is preachy, it is didactic, it is condescending, it is force-fed. And it's so refreshing. Like I said, my 2-sentence summary, and I keep going back to this because that's how it feels. It doesn't feel like someone telling you what you're supposed to believe, telling you what you're supposed to take away from this movie, telling you what the message is or what you're important, what politics you're supposed to adhere to make you a good person. It invites you into the journey. It makes you feel like you're a part of it. Especially at the end, it's such, when you look at, because you're looking at a world that's devolved into chaos with, time folding in on itself. You look at our world, there's so much chaos right now. We have the eastern half of this country getting ravaged by a massive hurricane. Iowa was destroyed a few weeks ago from the same thing. We have natural disasters causing all these things on top of a global pandemic that's just amplifying the effects of these disasters. We have this disastrous political and social climate, cultural climate right now where we dehumanize everybody. We're fighting with everyone all the time, unfriending people, blocking people left and right, censoring ourselves, cutting ourselves off from so much of the world at so many points in our life, to then just see, like, what if we had, like, this is what the world needs, that moment. If we had that moment now, everyone getting together to play a song.
No, I think you got a point there with the best thing is this movie's about unity, yes, but it's not about all this diversity inclusion bullshit. Like, and I think that's the best thing that Ed said, in my interview with him, is like, if this movie was broke, the studios would want it. I'm glad the studios didn't get behind this, because you know what would happen if they did? It would have been like, oh, you gotta change it to where that, the great leader is not a bad guy, first and foremost. She's not wrong. So she would be the one who's right about Bill and Ted or the girls or whatever. But they changed the story anyway to where in the beginning you'd have it be that, everybody keeps telling the girls they can't be a part of the band. Or something to that effect, or they're not good enough, or they can't do it, or whatever, so that at the end they can show that they're the bestest by writing the song. Like, that's what the studios would have done to this movie, guys.
Of course.
Like, that's the thing. So, like, I understand on the surface where you can see it, because, in your brain you go, okay, I can see where a studio would go with this fucking movie. Well, of course you would. But, like, that's the best part about it, is it has no agenda. There's no reason for it to have an agenda. And it's more or less just a coincidence more than anything, I guess, that it just so happened that they picked daughters instead of boys so many years ago. And it just happened to be now that that's such a prevalent thing in Hollywood that, if this movie would have come out 3-4 years ago, we wouldn't have probably said the same shit. We wouldn't be having this kind of conversation. We'd be just talking about whether or not the movie was good or not.
No, we'd have watched it. We would have been like, it was good. It was great. It was a solid follow-up. I'm glad they did the movie justice. Hooray. Right now, it just feels so important because of what it is, because it's something, it fills a vacuum that we don't have right now. And I think don't even realize how much we need, until you really see it, until it's just like,
agreed 100%.
Yeah. Until you just smacked it. I wish every single person in the entire world would watch this movie. I wish there was an actual phone book where you can push the infinity button and put it on everyone's screens, and sit down together and watch.
But then I wish they would all give $1 to us for showing it to them.
Yes.
That's $7 billion.
I could live with $7 billion.
And I would even go to the guys that if we got $7 billion from that, I'd be like, hey, Bill and Ted producers, here's $200 million. We made money.
Exactly. I'm not giving $1 billion. We'll be fine with $6 million.
$6 billion.
Fine. Look, your movie made $1 billion. Here you go.
It's the most profitable ratio film ever. We dethroned Joker.
Yes.
You know what we could start doing to screw with Disney? What we could do is each year with that billions of dollars we have, we figure out how to reinvest it so it makes a bunch of money, right? And what we do is every time a small budget film that, like, something that we like, that we want to succeed, that costs whatever, we buy up we buy that much in, and like, yeah, it made all this money. Suck it, Disney. Yeah. And people are like, oh, what the fuck? How's it? We're just the two people responsible.
That'd be incredible.
Hey, look, nice of us too.
Keanu Reeves would make a good president. So
it'd be great. But he can't because he's not American.
Real talk, if he were running in this election, I would vote for him.
I would vote. Here's a hard question. Easy for you, hard for me. Keanu Reeves and The Rock ran against each other for president. Who would I vote for?
I'd vote for Keanu.
I don't know. I'm torn. My allegiance goes to The Rock always. When I was a kid, when he turned into a bad guy and shaved his head, I said, if I really like him, I'll like him as a bad guy.
What about actually, you know what? How about The Rock as the president and Keanu as his VP?
Sure.
I think The Rock has probably a better presentational speaking voice.
I agree.
Keanu can't get out of the dude even if he tries.
I once made a joke. Well, actually, not one. I've made this joke before, but I said if The Rock gave my grandma the people's elbow, I'd still cheer for The Rock. And I loved my grandma. She was the best.
What if he did it now?
That'd be a little tasteless.
just people's elbows are coughing.
I'm like, Rock, what are you doing in Ohio?
What the hell?
No.
Why did you dig up my grandma?
True story. The day I moved out here, The Rock was in Cincinnati promoting his tequila. The one chance I had to fucking meet him was the day I moved here. And now he lived down the street from him. I don't want to fucking bother him. I don't even really meet the dude, but like, it's just funny that the one chance, like, I could have went down the street and met The Rock. Because you saw how close I lived to downtown Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that would have been. That was sad.
Vinny Anderson, I've been a fan of The Rock for over 20 years. I remember when he was at the DNC or the RNC.
RNC, yeah.
Because Vince McMahon is very Republican. I mean, his best friend's Donald Trump.
Well, that makes it an even better ticket is The Rock and Keanu Reeves. I'm pretty sure Keanu Reeves is more on the left side of things. So
you kind of get the most balanced.
You'll get a very balanced ticket. I'm okay with that. Totally fine with that.
The Rock could run for both vice president and regular president and vice president.
So I think we've pretty much we've gone through the whole film, albeit not entirely linearly. Is there anything we missed? Anything we didn't hit on? Anything we didn't touch on that you guys are itching to say or talk about?
No, because I've had the opportunity to talk about this 3 times today. Be like, this sounds redundant. I've enjoyed each time.
Me too.
Like Tom, first off, Tom, again, thanks for hooking us up to get to watch it.
So much.
Second, the
No
round
problem.
was awesome, especially when we were talking about R&B and everybody.
And it was so great because I got to meet R&B and Andre for the first time.
I always love talking to Andre too. It just sucks because the time difference, because he's always got such a different perspective because he comes from was it Norway, right?
Yeah.
But so he's a fan of all this shit. And that's why I liked Midnight's Edge videos in the beginning too, because he was this guy who came from a different place, but he talked about movies in an interesting way. But no, I just want to say, like, I've talked about this movie 3 times. I spent probably 6 hours talking about this movie today. I've had so much fun talking about it. I really, if we had the time, I want to put on Bill and Ted 1 and eat dinner at 11 o'clock at night and just fucking go to bed as the happiest dude on the planet. It's been a great day. And this movie will really, if you don't walk out of this or leave this movie with a smile after the post-credit sequence, you probably don't have a heart. Yeah,
you don't have a soul. It's confirmed. Red Monarch says, look, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Thank you for the super chat, Red Monarch. Always good to see you.
Happy birthday again.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday, Red Monarch. I heard it was your birthday, so hopefully it was a good one. The same. I think I said to Tom when we first started out when I was still over in our secondary office.
Can we never call it the bathroom again?
Can we call it the office?
The secondary office? Or no, the office.
Just call it the office.
Where are you going, Jeff?
The office. I like
file
it.
some paperwork at the office.
That's our new euphemism for taking a shit.
Yep.
Gotta go file some paperwork in the office. I love it.
Crew will be through
I love it. Self-loathing training army. It so is. And yeah, I said to Tom that I was like, I wonder what I thought I'd be sick about it, but I'm excited to talk about it again. I had a great time, talking about it again. Yeah, definitely in my. God, I'm in my probably 7th hour at least because I was talking about my mom and my dad separately, not concurrently.
The fact that Jesse's calling her parent, well, not calling to talk, but during a phone call to her family that she hasn't talked to in a couple of days. It's been a while. You want to catch up. Bill and Ted is a big focal point of that. Like,
oh yeah,
it's affecting our personal lives in a good way. Like when I was a kid and I saw that first Spider-Man movie, that's all I could think about. A sign of a great movie for me is when you can't stop thinking about it after you watch it. And I've thought about Bill and Ted every couple of days. The third one specifically since we watched it.
Raging Rhino says, "Just got here. Please start again." Lol.
All right, I'll play the song. The world's classiest bullshitter, Jeff Hicks.
Oh man. Well, thanks for the super chat, Rhino. Sorry you weren't here earlier. Obviously, you have the link and whatnot. You can always catch the clip. I'm gonna probably leave this one up for
He's just sad
forever.
that he didn't get to drink with us this Thursday.
He is. He's like, man, my liver feels too good. It feels too good right now. But you know what, Rhino? That's sort of the point. We're just talking about how wonderful Bill and Ted is, how good it is, how good it made us feel. So in honor of that, it makes sense that your liver should take a night off and get a feel good too.
I've taken a day off sugar for the most part.
There you go. So Tom, did you have anything we didn't hit on anything, catch any last thoughts on the film?
I'm trying to think. We've talked about it so much today, it's hard to remember if we really
what you said and where. I had some things I'm like, did I say that on the round table to my parents
I know.
on this show, in my review, or in one of the 3 takes, initial takes? This is one of the rare occasions I did multiple takes before I got the one I liked. One of like the 3 false starts when I was shooting it. I had one that I stopped, I lost my thread and I stopped it. And I was like, I part of why I lost my thread was I couldn't remember if I'd already made this point in this one or in the one I just tried to do. So yeah. Old school Jeremy says, I just got here too. Another vote for a fresh start.
Vote of no confidence.
No confidence. Well, guys, for those who just got here, first of all, get a watch.
Don't forget to wind your watch.
Don't forget to wind your watch.
That's my advice for you. Don't forget to wind your watch. Clearly, in spite of future Ted's advice, you did, and you forgot anyway. But it's here for you, as sad as it is for us that we don't get to engage with your comments throughout this whole video as well. It is still here for you, and it was still a great conversation between the 3 of us. And you'll have this ticker at the bottom that will let you know when you're in spoiler territory or not too. So there's that. But yeah, I think we're gonna close this. Oh, actually, you know what I wanted to do before we do that? This is what I wanted to do for tonight.
Yes.
I need a pen somewhere.
I can get you one right now.
Thank you.
Where's my little one?
Right here.
Okay, just take
Brilliant. Do you mark the page or anything?
It's
or
the last page.
Yeah.
I can't look in there. Yes, it's night magic, but yes,
Yeah.
it's
So,
stuff for us too.
Mad Libs After Dark.
You can't be mad at old school Jeremy. He was fencing.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Touche. Totally did that by accident. Touche, I should say. Touche. Because we actually say. Fun fact, that's a thing we say in fencing. You don't say it when you hit people. You don't hit someone and go, touche, because that's retarded. You usually do, well, it's the referee attack, touche, point, whatever, if you're doing it in all full say. But when you typically, when you acknowledge a touch, yes, someone got it, that person did hit me, or yes, it is theirs. Usually it's a really good touch. You acknowledge and you say touche.
Touche.
So touche, old school Jeremy, touche. So tonight we're doing Bill and Ted themed Mad Libs in honor of our boys. So we will kick it to the chat as well. So Rhino and Old School, you guys got to participate as well. I guess I'll stay out of it. Like I usually do. I'll let you guys do your,
No.
No.
This movie meant so much to you. I mean, you made phone calls. You've been invested so heavily. It would be stupid to not take part in it. Take part in it. It's your show.
All right. So chat rules as always. Drop your suggestions. Drop them fast. I know we have and definitely get them in as quick as you can, because one thing we have we lost some of our audience who didn't want to hear the spoilers. When we get a lower audience, the chat doesn't necessarily keep up with us. So get them in quick. Super chat supersedes suggestions. Chat, lucky you. Your first word of the night, your first thing of the night is a part of the body. So what part of the body screams Bill and Ted to you the most? And otherwise, Tom will start you off with a plural noun.
Plural noun.
I'm already thinking of the most obvious one.
Hopping.
What?
Or plural noun. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of
What?
Tacos.
How is that related to Bill and Ted, Tom?
Oh, it's got to be related to Bill and Ted. I'm sorry. I wasn't paying that much attention. I was talking to Andre. Sorry.
Well, hopefully that clarifies.
Oh, shit.
What is the most obvious plural noun referenced in every single Bill and Ted movie repeatedly? Very, very important element of all of these things. Key part of who Bill and Ted are.
Wild Stallions.
Bingo! I didn't mean to feed you your line, but come on.
No. I was not in the right sense of mind anyway.
But it's
both. Well, the thing is, it's Bill and Ted themed. We can still pretend we're talking about actual horses.
Oh, okay, because I say if it's Bill and Ted themed, I'm like, Wild Stallions is spelled W-Y.
I'll still spell it the Bill and Ted way, but it's
Fair enough.
but it'll still work.
Aw.
I promise I'll let you be creative on your own next time. Jeff, a noun?
Since it's Bill and Ted theme, can I do proper nouns instead? Or are we just going to stick with...
You can if you want to.
Fine. What's the robot's name? Dennis
Caleb McCoy.
Dennis Caleb McCoy.
Yeah.
Dennis Caleb.
I have a name. It's Dennis. Dennis McCoy. Dennis Caleb McCoy.
My adjective, of course, excellent. Parts of body. So far as big toe, fingernails. I'm going to say fingernail actually works.
What about huge Martian butt?
That works too. Tom, if you might have an opportunity there, if you get another, actually, you know what? I do have a plural part of the body later, so I'm going to take fingernails for that. I say that's the reason I say it's relevant for those who are wondering why are fingernails relevant to Bill and Ted. That's what you strum a guitar with if you don't have a pick.
I feel like this would be the greatest theme night at a bar ever.
Bill
Bill and Ted theme night?
Bill and Ted theme night. So, Tom, we're going with big Martian butt for a part of the body?
Sure.
I'm taking it. You said it. I'm taking it.
Huge Martian butt is actually how I think it's
huge Martian butt. You said huge Martian butt. Correct. All right. So chat, chat, you're working on a noun for us next. So give us your Bill and Teddiest noun. And Jeff, you're gonna give me also a noun.
Phone booth.
Phone booth. Good one. All right. I get a number.
69
dude.
God, if you could have one thing in real life be like in a movie, every time I did air guitar, I'd want that sound.
Right, dude? I was saying that earlier because I did it in my review.
Her face lit up. I wish I had a fucking video. She goes, oh, and she starts clapping. She's like, I did it perfectly.
Specifically because, I don't play it, when I'm shooting the review. I just had to mentally, in my head, play it in my head, boom, see how it times out. And I'll show you guys. It's in if you've watched my review, you've seen it, but
show the tab.
But real quick, is it up already? I don't have the tab up. It's just as easy to open it over here. I'm singing the cat song. In the meantime, while this is opening up and getting queued up, James Baker gives us a noun, a trash can.
R2D2?
Do trash cans play a role in Bill and Ted at any point?
Wait, doesn't he? Isn't there
a trash can? Remember a trash can?
Remembers, yeah. Remember, yes. Excellent. Good call, the James Baker. Trash can it is.
And if you're paying attention, those trash cans are in the beginning of the first film in the garage.
Oh.
To watch this first again.
Trash can. Remember
Bill and Ted needs to become like my Beverly Hills.
Now the question is, do you then later see the garage again and there's one fewer trash cans?
I think it's just you can tell because it says Wild Stallions Rule on it. It's the same trash can, yeah.
That makes sense.
This isn't Lone Pine Mall. I love you though for that reference. Remember Back to the Future? He wrecks through the Twin Pine Mall in the past and it becomes Lone Pine.
Did I say trash cans plural? I meant just trash can. It's just the one, yeah.
Trash can. Let's see. So, chat, the next word you're going to give us is going to be a verb. But I'll cue up the video in a sec while we're waiting for the next chat suggestions. Thank you, Duuude Baker, for this one. And Red Monarch has a good one that fits very, very well, too. I was thinking about that. I was surprised that no one used that one for the noun yet.
That was going to be my one, but I thought it'd be a little funnier to have a chunky set of words.
Yes.
I didn't read anything. I just
Tennis Caleb McCoy. Actually, that was really fucking funny. I just cheated. You want me to?
Yeah, replace it. I'm not gonna show you my impressions about it. Like I tell people on streams and stuff, if it's for the best stream possible, I don't care if there's a joke about glitter. Never seen it.
So you guys are working on the verbiage. Tom's got an adjective.
Adjective. Excellent.
I already used excellent.
Oh shit!
I still
what's the title of the second film?
Bogus.
There you go. Bogus.
That was non-heinous.
All right. Jeff, you get a number.
Oh God, we're already at 69. You know what? 88 because of the class of 88.
Oh, fair enough. Also, if you turn an 8 on its side, it becomes an infinity symbol. I'll give you that one.
My favorite brand of car.
So I also have a verb. My verb is going to be party on. And chat's working on one. Chat's got a bunch of suggestions here. It's hard. Oh, we got singing, shredding, and partying. Travel. These are all really good ones.
Shredding's a good one.
Shredding's a good one because it's highly specific. I'll go with that one. Probably shred usually is the form they'll want it in. Shred's good.
I'm going to tell you, because, I'm kind of hungry and bleary. I'm going to tell you what I thought that was. After this, I'm not gonna say it on air. We'll have a good laugh together.
All right. And then Tom and Jeff, you guys are going to finish this out. Tom, an adjective, please. I think you already, Tom, if you want to, you already said what I think would be the third best adjective.
Non-heinous.
Yes. So it's non.
Non-heinous. So it's 4 nons.
4 nons. Non.
Every non undoes the other one.
Hey, the point is it's heinous, so it has to be an even number of nons.
And the more nons is the more heinous it is.
The more heinous it is. It's like double plus ungood, which
Yes.
you really don't know yet. I just didn't realize you don't really know that reference yet.
What?
Double plus ungood. You don't know? Ha ha! Ha! Jeff's always like, you don't get this reference. You don't get this. You don't get that reference. Ha ha!
Everybody gets one, Peter. Thanks, Spider-Man.
1984.
I bought the book. It'll be here tomorrow.
So you'll know soon.
Most
all right, Jeff.
non-triumphant.
Jeff, a verb to finish us off.
Action. It's a Bill and Ted action. Time travel.
Travel.
Water sliding. Like
Water slide.
Ted, don't be dead, dude.
Don't be dead. So one I'll show you, it should be open by now or not.
Is that right there?
Maybe. No, that's the thumbnail that didn't want to work. It says QuickTime Player is open. Here it is. It's just really, really big. Okay, let me share this. I do want to share this with you guys because this made me so happy. Because who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that moment? That was always the thing with even with my friends. We always had to say Wild Stallions before we did the thing because we didn't have that sync of like blah, 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 so just organically be able to pull that out and have that sound. It brought me so much joy, and I want to share that joy with you, even if you have not yet seen this review. So we'll just skip ahead. It's like right in the first. It's in the very beginning. There it was, and there it goes. Okay. There. All right. I'm like right in the middle of it now. You can already see it. Boom, backwards in slow motion. All right, so literally I dropped this clip in. If you've ever done any video editing, one of the things about it is you're sitting there doing it. I don't know why I'm not just showing this from the beginning. It's like 10 fucking seconds. If you're sitting there doing it, you drop a clip in that you need to time, the audio with everything else, or sync the video with everything else, and you got to tweak it around and move it a little bit from your initial spot to get it just right. So I'm sitting there doing this. I dropped this in my timeline about where it goes. I watched through it to see where I need to line it up better. And this is how my review starts. And I think it's pretty excellent, but I'll let you guys decide. What's up, dudes? My name is Jesse Milestone, and this is my totally excellent review of Bill and Ted 3 Face the Music. Now, before we dive into it just could not have worked more perfectly. It brings me so much joy. Whenever I need a pick-me-up, I'm just going to go watch the first 10 seconds of that video. Also, doing this review, I have never been happier. That riff that you hear me open my videos with is something I wrote. It's from a song I wrote a very long time ago. I recorded that particular guitar track specifically to use as intro music and stuff like that. So I finally built my own intro, but I've never been more happy that I play the guitar, rock guitar as my intro, and then I'm it's just so great. It made me so happy that I've been getting back into doing music right before seeing these. Because rather than having that feeling I always get of like, oh man, I should be doing more of my music, I gotta watch it and go, yes, and feel energized about my own music as well in response. But yeah, it was so good. All right, so I gotta fill this in officially so I can read. I don't like having to bounce back and up to read it.
Tom and I will talk for a second.
Absolutely.
So Tom, okay, so when I got my Bill and Ted figures, the ones that we both have, the box broke, like the clamshell removed from the thing. I was going to keep them in the box, but now since one of them's messed up. I think what I'm going to actually not. I think I'm going to do. I'm going to take some of the shelf space up here, or a little Bill and Ted display as soon as the phone booth comes out.
That's cool.
Pictures, because I want to get more Bill and Ted shit to a degree, but not like I don't even.
Not like me.
I do have the book that has all their comics. There's like a Bill and Ted omnibus.
Yeah, I got that one too. Plus, I got some of the actual comics, but yeah.
I found that at Ollie's for like $4.
And then I got there's a third part to these coming out, I believe. But I also have these ones that are newer ones. There's Bill and Ted Go to Hell and Bill and Ted Save the Universe.
Okay, when we were on your stream this morning, we're getting ready to go live looking for an icon. I was Googling Bill and Ted comics. I was showing Jesse some of the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to put Station's butt as our icon.
But yeah, when I was a kid, I had that whole comic run. And then, so I ended up getting the omnibus instead of just buying them all again. I'm like, fuck it.
Did you ever read the Beavis and Butthead comics?
Oh, yeah, I had a few. But in that comic, in that omnibus, they have the adaptation of Bogus Journey. It has a bunch of the stuff from the alternate ending in the comic adaptation, by the way.
Oh, so it's a lot like Star Wars.
Yeah, well, just because the movie changed so much between the time, stuff was still in the movie between the time the movie came out and they had to do that adaptation. So
somebody built the San Dimas Mall and Bill and Ted Legos.
Yes, incredible.
Did you know they just actually closed the mall that they filmed at?
No, I was about to say we should go to that mall.
No, yeah, they just closed it actually.
I can't believe we've never thought to do that before. We drive through.
We were in San Dimas the night we watched this.
We drove through San Dimas.
Well, it's actually not in San Dimas. They filmed the movie in Arizona, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And it was I can't remember the name of the mall, but it was this huge fucking mall. But it just closed. Yeah.
I wonder if our friend Go Big Boy Go Home knows anything about that, being an Arizonian. All right.
Zonian?
All right, you guys ready for our Adult Mad Libs Bill and Ted theme?
They filmed in Arizona because it looked just like the suburbs and California.
San Dimas is getting towards the Inland Empire, as they call it, and it's basically just flat suburban desert. So any flat suburban desert in the Southwest pretty much will do.
But I think they used the same building for the police station and the school, and they utilized this whole little town, like they would do for little movies. Like they didn't spend shit on the first movie.
The funny thing is, I think the town they use might actually be smaller than the real San Dimas.
Yeah. Probably. I can't remember the exact town name, but yeah, it was just some little podunk town. Yeah. I mean, most of the buildings are still there and shit, but they just closed, just 2 weeks ago. Which is sad. They should have had a big premiere there or something, or at least
so cool.
Something.
Maybe you could have projected it on the wall outside or something.
Yeah.
Great.
They got the real Abraham Lincoln to come.
Of course, you need Abraham Lincoln. All right, I obviously should read this in my Bill and Ted voice.
7 minutes ago.
Hurry on.
A trip to the ER. You guys ready?
George Clooney, please be there.
There are some wild stallions.
Who's baking a baked potato? Sorry.
Oh, from the South Park movie. I was just thinking that. Sorry. Anyway.
Oh, good. Ian Slater says, "Are the spoilers over? By the way, you have BNT promos for your stream. Lol. Be at T. What is that?
Nice. That means when he turned it on, that means the trailers or the
Bill and Ted
they got.
Nice. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Ian Slater, we are done with the spoilers. We're just reading through the Mad Libs now. So you came back in at the exact perfect time. We're just about to start reading our Mad Libs, our Bill and Ted theme Mad Libs that we had so much fun concocting. But yes, we're totally. Actually, I should pull the warning down so people know. Hide. Spoilers are over. For those of you who are popping back in and do want to hear the Mad Libs.
One thing I just want to tell you, Ian, thank you for telling us that, because that kind of makes me feel even cooler. Because it's like we sat here and gone on and on and on about this movie. So then when people click, it's like you see it, you hear about it. Hopefully they take those things and they go out.
Hopefully they do. I feel like I've been low-key endorsed by the film now.
All right. What's funny is we're not seeing anything from it, but it'd be nice.
All right. A trip to the ER. There are some wild stallions in the Kama Sutra that are guaranteed to land you. In the emergency death. Unless you want to get excellent, be sure to avoid the suspended Congress, The man stands with his huge Martian butt against a wall and uses his hands to hold up the woman in a vertical phone booth.
That actually sounds like a real thing.
You want to try it?
Unless she weighs 69 pounds, it's not going to work. The young edition. This is the trash can that allows for the most bogus penetration. Problem is, the Kama Sutra was written 88 years ago when men had much smaller fingernails. Ladies, be warned, this one could party on. And finally, turning position. A man and a woman shred while he turns her around in a non-heinous circles. Try not to get dizzy. Stage advice: don't get dizzy and go water
sliding. Have you ever
sliding.
thought about doing a series where you give like advice as a dude, like sex advice as a dude,
bro? No,
like,
but
don't ever explain why you sound like that. And if anyone's like, "Is that your voice?" Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's totally my voice. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty One, says no spoilers. How is it compared to 1 and 2? Any woke?
No woke.
For me, better than 2. Not quite as good as 1, and really no wokeness to speak of.
I'm with Jesse. Those are my stances on it too. 1's still the best, King, but it's a damn good film.
Damn good movie. We gave it, I think, across the board, pretty much an 8 out of 10. Tom, what was your? If you had to,
about an 8 out of 10, yeah. And I give the first 2 a 10 out of 10. So like, I mean, and again, after further viewing, this might even creep up a little bit. I checked IMDb; it only had 77 ratings, but it was sitting at 8.2, so that's not bad.
Not bad at all. So great question, Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty One. Usually we close the show with the Corona Kiss, but on this particular evening, first of all, Tom, I wanted to thank you so much again.
No problem.
All of this, it's just so, you're such a wonderful giving person. It's such a wonderful quality of it. I hope you remember to take things for yourself every now and again too, because you deserve it. You deserve all the good that comes your way. You deserve to be excellent, because you really are. So thank you so much. Tom, any last words, and where can the people find you?
Oh, you can find me on Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. I hang out with Jeff every Tuesday night on the High Council, and you can usually catch me at this time over on Comics Division every Thursday, but I make the exception every once in a while for Jessie when she does ask me, because, I can't turn down that invitation. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much the main places you can find me. Otherwise, I pop up here and there and everywhere.
Nice. Also, real quick, we're 3 likes away from 100. You usually have to hit 100 at least every stream.
Hold on, let me go.
So press the hell. If you have not pressed the like button, drop an impression real quick. Jeff, of course, World Class Bullshitters. You should be subbed to him already as well. You should know.
Come back tomorrow for my Kathleen Kennedy video.
Yeah.
I try not to be like, oh, my videos are so great. Watch watch them all. This one's really funny. And if you liked our earlier stuff, we're kind of going back to 2018, 2019, that flow. I have a couple visual puns and stuff. Jesse knew because I worked on it for a while. I had a really good time working on it.
This was it is. I don't think I've ever heard Jeff yelled out loud in a video. But I don't know if that was this. This was this one, right? Yeah, because he's over in his recording area just outside of our office.
Oh shit! You already had 100 likes. I'm gonna go 101.
Yeah, 101. And yes, Bobby Mouse said, Tom had got us. Yes, we've all seen the movie already. So this is
screeners for the week.
These are spoilers and all that stuff. But yeah, Jeff, of course, World Class Bullshitters everywhere that there's social media. You're already here, so you've already found me. But I'm gonna let Jeff finish this one out the way that he.
I do officially have the movie. I pre-ordered it. I checked. It's there.
We should get it too.
You know what? I would be completely okay with that. Seriously, even though we don't do a lot of digital stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely want to buy it.
I'll throw you $10 extra in the rent if you want to.
Shit, we'll put it
on Apple TV.
Yeah, if we can buy it through my Amazon Prime next time we're on, or the Apple one.
We use that for streaming rather than the PlayStation.
Yeah.
The outro though.
Yeah. Outro. So I wanted to let Jeff do his classic outro.
But folks, before you go, I know people are going to watch this in the replay. Check out Jesse's review. It's a very passionate review. This movie, like I said, I keep prefacing it because I don't want to be called a shill or anything like that. We don't receive anything, but I've dated Jessie for a year. There are things she's passionate about. A lot of Star Wars, fencing, old stuff, things that are near and dear to her heart. But for something new, I've not watched Jessie get so invested in something new. If you love her channel and you're here, so you do, watch it because maybe you'll feel what she felt. There's a lot of feeling for this movie for her, a lot of excitement. I'm glad people joined us tonight. and spread the word and let people know. Because I think your review is probably one of the most honest ones. Yeah, it's not Jeremy John's, hey, bro, watch this movie. It's I like Bill and Ted. Here's why, and this is why this movie is as great as it is, and you should give it your money. So, folks, watch Jesse's review. But while you're watching the review, make sure that you're always excellent to each other.